Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together, we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys?
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it. Husband!
Wife!
Do you remember what happened on Friday and where the hell we are today?
Well, I think God made Ezekiel shave his head.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
with a sword.
With a yeah, that's right. With a sword.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, that had to suck.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Right.
But then when he divided his hair, then they sprinkled the hair in different places on the little clay model of Jerusalem.
His little dollhouse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they burnt some of them up and set some of them. It was a symbolism. It was symbolizing like what was going to happen to the Israelites, you know.
And then he was allowed to take like 2 or 3 little hairs and sew into his shirt or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
To display that it's the remnant.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, we were playing with hair in the last chapter. So that was Ezekiel chapter 5.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that today we're getting into
Ezekiel chapter 6.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie.
Okay, before we get into this episode, I do have a couple things I wanted to cover. I meant to cover these in the intro, but I do want to mention that today, if you're listening to this episode on the day that it comes out, is Monday, which means that tonight we're going to have live episodes, a live episode that will be live on Twitch and on YouTube. The links to those will both be in the show notes, so please check those out and support us over there on those platforms. And also, I wanted to mention that we are doing a bit of a drive for Patreon, where we're trying to get to $400 per month. Currently, we're sitting at about $139 with our Patreon supporters. That money really will help us get a lot of the things that we need to push this podcast forward. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a great time to contribute. We're updating the amount that we have currently on our website at the home on our homepage there. So if you go to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, you'll see the chart that I've got up at the top, and we'll update that daily. So please consider going to our website, clicking there, and then joining as a Patreon supporter. That being said, are you ready to get into the podcast, wife?
I am, husband.
Okay.
All right. So we are hopping into Ezekiel chapter 6.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. Are we going to like lose any more body parts today? Or is it just hair that we're losing?
I don't think we're losing any parts or hair.
Okay.
From what I saw, God's just giving them what for.
Got it.
So
okay.
I think that's what we're in store for.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds normal.
Right. The word of the Lord came to me. Okay. Me, Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quote. So now he's telling us what God said.
Sure.
Son of man, you mere fucking human. Yeah. Set your face against the mountains of Israel. So look that direction.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Prophecy against them and say, you mountains of Israel, hear the word of the sovereign Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says to the mountains and hills, to the ravines and valleys. I'm about to bring a sword against you, and I will destroy your high places.
I was about to ask, actually. I feel like when they're referring to, obviously they kind of alluded to it there, but like when they mention the mountains and the hills and the ravines, these are places where they kind of alluded to throughout the Bible that bad shit was happening. Like they've got their pagan worship. Yeah.
Yep. And their altars to other gods and their idol statues and their child sacrifice and their sex practices and all that.
Yeah. I mean, in order to not be bad, apparently you just have to stay in Jerusalem all the time.
And don't go into
any ravines or mountains or hills.
Right. Exactly.
If it's flat ground, you might be okay, but be really careful it doesn't get anything but flat.
Or be an atheist and go wherever the fuck you want and not worry about it. I mean, there's that too.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So God is still talking.
Yeah.
Your altars will be demolished and your incense altars will be smashed.
I hate it when people demolish my incense holders.
Me too.
That's dumb. Why do they do that shit?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? You don't like the smell of incense.
I don't. I fucking hate it.
I know, and that makes me so sad because I fucking love it.
Yeah. But, you know, it's funny. Like, okay, so incense holders, to me, growing up, right, when I was younger, they seemed very new age and very...
hooey. Yeah,
but, like, there was this connotation with them that kind of seemed almost, like, anti-religious. And I never really it was a counterculture thing to have incense when I was younger. It felt like. It felt that way. Like, it was very... The drug culture had
going to say, you know? Like, I always thought of it as trying to disguise the scent of weed.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just wonder if that's partly because...
Where that idea is in your head from?
Well, no, I wonder if there was actually... I don't know this because I don't know how people felt about it back then exactly. But I wonder if there was a bad connotation with regard to incense.
Oh, I'm sure.
Somewhat because of religious reasons.
I'm sure.
So I don't know that for sure. I'm just curious. Like, it's a curiosity that I would have.
It sounds like there would be.
Right. It sounds like there could be. Yeah.
So he's saying, I'm going to smash your shit and I'm going to demolish your other shit.
Yeah.
And I will slay your people in front of your idols.
Oh, okay.
Your little statues there, they're going to watch me kill you. I will lay the dead bodies of the Israelites in front of their idols, and I will scatter your bones around your altars.
Wow.
That's not very Christian of you.
I mean, to be fair, he's not Christian yet.
I know, but it's not very nice.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to murder people.
You would think, but
I mean, it's in the Ten Commandments.
I'm gathering that this is just a normal, like, everyday occurrence here in the Bible.
Well, to be fair, too, this already happened. Like, we already read about, like, this is before the final fall of Jerusalem.
Sure.
So, like, we already know.
But I mean, even if you take out the idea of the fall of Jerusalem, like, this is a thing that has happened to the Israelites and their enemies over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, it's just God kills people like all the fucking time.
I think we talk about this like every single episode now. Like, there go God on a murder spree again.
Totally. Yeah.
Wherever you live, the towns will be laid. I thought he was going to like go into, I will find you. Wherever you live, the towns will be laid waste and the high places demolished so that your altars will be laid waste and devastated. Your idols smashed and ruined. Your incense altars broken down. And now I'm just repeating myself.
Yeah.
And what you have made wiped out. Okay, that's new.
Yeah.
What you made wiped out.
Sure.
I mean, in this chapter.
Right.
He used the word smashed and demolished too many times.
He really did.
And he was like, I'm going to fuck up your incense. And then I'm going to fuck up your incense. Guess what? I'm fucking up your incense.
But I do have to mention this too. But like, okay, so for chapter 1 and 2, there was definitely a different tone with those chapters than there is in these. And I know we talked a little bit in our Q&A about the time frame in which these were written. These feel much more in line with like what was written during Jeremiah's time. Ish.
Well, here's the difference too. The first 2 chapters were first person. Like Jeremiah was saying, I saw this and I saw that and this happened to me and what?
Yeah.
And in these chapters, he's like, here's some quoting God. I'm not even in this chapter. I'm just telling you what he said.
Right.
So,
that's
you
true.
know, first person versus third person is a thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, so God is still talking.
Okay.
Your people will fall slain among you, and you will know that I am the Lord. And this is the first time that we hear him say that, I am the Lord. You will know that I am the Lord.
Right.
But he's going to say it a whole fuck ton more.
I feel like, I don't know what chapter it's in, but one of my favorite movies, Pulp Fiction, there's a part in there where, it's been too long since I've seen it, but they quote, I think it's from Ezekiel, and then he's like getting ready to shoot somebody. He's like, and you will know my name is the Lord. And that's part of the...
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and that's part of the quote. So I got to look that up, find out what chapter that's in.
Yeah.
So,
And include that in.
Yeah, I'll have to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so God is still talking. But guess what?
What?
What does God always say? But smiley face. Guess what I'm gonna do?
You're gonna redeem people?
Yeah, I'm gonna spare some.
Okay.
For some of you will escape the sword when you are scattered among the lands and nations. Because I'm gonna scatter you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck your shit up.
And he can't even kill all their enemies when he says he's going to. So, I mean, what makes us think that he would be able to kill all the Israelites?
Right?
Yeah.
Then, in the nations where they have been carried captive, those who escape will remember me. Yay! I'm the best.
Sadly, they did.
Mm-hmm. How I have been grieved by their adulterous hearts, those cheaters. I'm a cuck, I was cuckolded. I married this bitch called Israel, and then they fucked every man in town, and they
had all the idols, and
they did all the phallic symbol-y statues and shit, and I'm brokenhearted.
Yeah.
I'm just a murdery son of a gun.
We should totally feel bad for
poor God.
Never mind. I'm not even going to finish that sentence.
Poor God.
No, because he's a dick.
God is sad.
If I married a dickhead, then I'd probably cheat on him too.
Oh, are you saying I'm not a dickhead?
No, you're not a dickhead.
Oh, thanks. You're not a dickhead either.
Thanks.
Yay,
yeah.
We're awesome.
Right.
Okay, so anyway, he's like, I've been grieved by their adulterous hearts, which have been turned away from me, and by their eyes, which have lusted after their idols. Wah! I'm God and I'm so sad. They will loathe themselves for the evil they have done and for all the detestable practices. This is like a mom yelling, like a shitty mom yelling after her kid, "You'll be sorry."
Right, yeah. But you know what? The only reason they're going to be sorry is because God's killing them.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, you're not actually sorry. You're sorry that you're getting, like, it's like any other punishment, right? You're sorry you got caught.
It's the song by Beyonce. Don't tell me you're sorry when you're not.
Right.
You're only sorry you got caught. I don't know the words, but,
Sure.
Yeah, that one. That song.
Yeah.
And they will know that I am the Lord.
Well,
that's what they're going to know.
I guess they will.
I did not threaten in vain to bring this calamity on them. I promised them I was going to fuck their shit up, and then I did.
Yeah.
Because I'm awesome.
Right.
And that's how you can love me, because I follow through on my promises to fuck your shit up.
Yeah.
Whee! This is what the sovereign Lord says. Okay?
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Strike your hands together and stamp your feet and cry alas.
Is this like a line dance or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. We're all going to do the Macarena. Because of all the wicked and detestable practices of the people of Israel, for they will fall by the sword, famine, and plague.
Okay.
That sounds opposite of dancing.
Right.
But he wants them to strike their hands together and stamp their feet and cry alas.
Okay. All right. Okay? Yep.
One who is far away will die of the plague, and one who is near will fall by the sword. And anyone who survives and is spared will die of famine.
Okay.
Fuck all y'all.
Yeah.
I can't read because I have dyslexia for reals. So will I pour out my wrath on them. See, God got the wrath.
Yeah.
That sounds like he needs medicine.
I mean,
he has a real wrath on his ass.
He seems to have a temper problem, that's for sure.
And they will know that I am the Lord when their people lie slain among their idols around their altars.
I can tell you right now, I am going to get sick of hearing,
I am the Lord. And they will know that I am the Lord.
And they will know that I am the Lord, yeah.
We know, Dick, we know.
Because it's part of the quote that I like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not that I like that quote. I like that part in the movie.
Yeah.
And that's the quote, and that's part of that quote. And I'm like, oh, so we're going to hear this all through Ezekiel.
Yeah. And it's going to ruin Pulp Fiction for you.
It might. I mean, at least that quote. Yeah.
I can't with that movie, quite honestly.
No?
Yeah. It's too much.
It's been a long time since I've actually watched it, but
it's too far. It's too many.
I mean, that's kind of what
Quentin Tarantino is renowned for.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, he's like, when their people lie slain among their idols around their altars, on every high hill and on all the mountaintops, under every spreading tree and every leafy oak.
Yeah.
Places where they offered fragrant incense to all their idols.
Yeah.
Those fuckers.
Those
I'm
cheating
gonna
bastards.
kill those sons of bitches.
Yeah.
And I will stretch out my hand against them and make the land a desolate waste from the desert to Diblah, wherever they live.
Because they burned incense.
Then they'll know that I'm the Lord.
Yeah.
The end.
Okay.
I do have a slight note. It's irrelevant.
Sure.
Who really cares?
Okay.
The word Diblah is used here.
Yeah.
And it's like, where's that?
Right.
Who cares anyway?
Well, I mean,
The actual Hebrew text does read Diblah, but it's suspected that somebody transposed some letters that look similar and that it should say Riblah, which is a city in I forget where. Somewhere. Oh, Syria. Sorry, I couldn't find my notes, so I was trying to tell you this from memory.
From memory. That didn't work out.
No, because I have none. I forgot. I don't have any of those things. Right. Yeah. Anyway, it's a city in Syria.
Okay.
And it makes sense geographically because then it's like he's saying from north to south. Remember how they would take the farthest city each direction and use that as a from the furthest north to the furthest south?
Right.
So pretty sure it's Riblah, not Diblah.
Got it.
But like I said.
So that's really kind of funny, actually. There's literally a misspelling in the Bible that has just gone forward. They're just whatever. That's what it said when we got it. So we're gonna put it up again, and
even though we're pretty sure it's wrong. Yeah, but we don't know hilarious. For sure, and God is perfect. So maybe he meant to say Diblah. We don't know.
Yeah,
maybe there was a place called Diblah. Sure.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Okay.
I mean, that was a few thousand years ago.
Sounds pretty fucking unlikely to me. But whatever.
I couldn't even tell you. Maybe there was a city named Diblah.
Sure. All right.
But apparently the letters that make those sounds or whatever are very similar and have been transposed often throughout the Bible.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, but I've pointed out other errors before where word was repeated because it was at the end of the scroll or end of the line. And so then they would start it again at the next line.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
No, There's errors. There's definitely
errors.
Fucking errors in the Bible.
There's errors because God did not write this.
Right.
And we aren't perfect. And God's not perfect because he doesn't exist.
Right. So I think, is that all we got for today?
That's all I got for today.
Well, just on the out here, I'm just going to remind everybody one more time that tonight is one of our live episodes that we're doing Mondays and Wednesdays, and actually Tuesdays also.
Well,
Tuesdays is on Discord.
Right. Mondays and Wednesdays are on Twitch and YouTube at 10:30 Eastern.
Yep.
And Tuesday is Discord at 10 p.m. Eastern,
which we love because there'll be a lot more interaction from us in that than the other two. But if you prefer the other platforms, they are there now, and the links are going to be in the show notes here. So definitely check that out. And then don't forget, we have our Patreon fundraiser that we're trying to get going here. We're trying to get our funds up to a $400 per month level so that we can kind of do some of the things that we really need to do to push this podcast forward. So if you have been thinking about becoming a member, now's the time. Head on over. It's you can click on the link right at the top of our webpage at sacrilegiousdiscourse.com and or go to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse.
Yep.
That being said, that was Ezekiel chapter 6.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that we will be back tomorrow with
Ezekiel chapter 7.
All right. We'll see you then.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you remember what the hell happened yesterday and where the hell we are today?
Well, yesterday we read Ezekiel chapter 6.
Sure as fuck did.
And in that episode, God kind of was like, I'm going to kill y'all.
Basically.
You know those idols things that you got in the high places and in the ravines and all the places? Those are shitty places.
They are shitty places.
I'm going to kill a lot of you.
Most
and I'm
of
gonna
you.
I'm gonna lay you out in front of your idols, and I'm gonna scatter your bones all over the fucking place.
Right, and that's gross and cool.
It's cool.
No, I'm being God. I'm saying.
Oh yeah, to God it's cool. Yeah, God seems to think that's cool.
Yeah.
Right. So we were a little. I mean, I want to say we were a little disturbed by the imagery, but at this point it's almost commonplace.
Yeah.
And it's just like the regular.
It's hard
It's matter of fact. Yep, there goes God being God again. So
it's hard to pull up the oh my goodness, I can't believe he's doing that.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, the murder.
The shock is gone.
Yeah.
Right?
We've become inured to it, one might say.
All right. Before we hop into today's episode, I do want to mention again that we are doing a drive for new membership on our Patreon. So the place you can find that, and we are tracking new membership on our website, which is sacrilegiousdiscourse.com. There's a banner and a link in that banner at the top of our webpage where it'll take you to our Patreon page where we have membership starting as low as $1 a month. We would definitely love you to hop over there and show your support. We're trying to get to a $400 per month level with regard to membership right now. So we would definitely love it if you could go over there and even just start a free trial membership. So that would be awesome. That being said, we just got done reading yesterday Ezekiel chapter 6, which means that today we're getting into
Ezekiel chapter 7.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. All right, we are hopping into Ezekiel chapter 7.
All right, Ezekiel chapter 7.
I love me some Easy K. Goes down nice.
Yeah.
Okay, So here we go.
All right.
The word of the Lord came to me.
Did it?
Again, still some more.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what has been happening this whole time.
I suppose I wouldn't keep lying on the floor for a year and a half if the word of God didn't keep coming to me.
Right.
I'd be like, I feel like he's ignoring me at this point. I'm just going to get up.
You're talking about how in one of the previous chapters how he had to lay down on one of his sides for like several hundred days or whatever.
Yeah. It was like 400 and some days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what God's saying. Okay, ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Son of man, mere human.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
This is what the sovereign Lord says to the land of Israel. And of course, by Israel, he actually means Judah, because...
Right.
I mean, he's using the terms interchangeably, but the tribes of Israel have all but been swallowed up.
Yeah.
And all we've got left is Judah.
Was Judah, right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's still a generalization for that area, those people.
It is, but I've always found it confusing. Like, as we've been reading through, it took me a really long time before I understood that Judah is actually the main character.
Right.
Like, before we started reading the Bible, I always just thought Israel. It's Israel. Everything's about Israel. And I didn't know that, like, only Judah actually kind of remained.
Yeah, but I think that ultimately the end game is that Israel as a whole is going to come back. Remember we talked about like the lost tribes previously and things like that. So I mean, like, there's always this thought that all 12 tribes are going to come running back to Israel at some point, and it's going to be the Israelites instead of just Judah. Right. So, like, yes, Judah is all that remains currently, but that doesn't mean that that's what they're hoping. They're hoping to regain all of their tribes back.
I totally get that. It's just that as a person in 2024, or, we started this podcast in what, 2022? 2020.
Don't short us 2 years. Jeez.
No, sorry. At any rate, when we first started this podcast in 2020, I had no idea.
Right. Well, I mean, this is our first time reading any of this.
But that's my point, though.
Right.
Is every time I see Israel, I'm like, no, it's not.
Right.
But anyway, that he means Judah. So he's saying to the land of Israel, a.k.a. Judah, the end is come upon the four corners of the land. Because, flat earth. The end is now upon you, and I will unleash my anger against you, as I do, being an angry, capricious, mercurial God.
Again, call me shocked here.
I will judge you according to your conduct and repay you for all your detestable practices.
Right. Okay. We cover this all the fucking time. But
here we go.
Detestable practices do not
equal murder.
Yeah.
Your equation is wrong.
You don't get to, because somebody has a goddamn statue doesn't mean you get to murder them.
Now, I will say...
Did you hear about the statue that's going up in the national the capital of the United States?
What statue?
Hold on. It was, they're putting up, apparently this is not a breach of church and state separation, but there is something that is allowing some group to put up a statue that costs $650,000 apparently. I learned this from Heyman Meta. I can't remember how to pronounce the name exactly.
Okay.
But it's of Billy Graham.
Shut the fuck up.
Are you familiar with Billy Graham?
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's going to be in our state capitol apparently.
No.
And he's going to be holding a Bible and pointing at some bullshit.
Oh my God.
I'm like, really? We have to suffer through Billy Graham at our fucking, not our state capitol, at our national capitol? Sorry.
That's
I think I said state
even
capitol.
worse.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's terrible.
I hate.
Yeah, I mean, you can just stop right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I got off again.
Speaking of detestable practices, right?
Yes.
Then you will know that I am the Lord.
Will we?
Did you know I am the Lord?
I actually don't know that I have many questions about that.
FYI,
to be fair.
I am the Lord. Yeah. This is what the sovereign Lord says.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Disaster! Unheard of disaster! See? It comes.
Does it?
It does. It comes.
Okay. Yeah.
It gushes. The end has come. The end has come. The sky is falling. The sky is falling.
Like he's talking. Like, okay, we have all the end is nigh people, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, the end has come, right? But we all know that there's going to be a remnant left, right?
Well,
and like even according to the Bible, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a remnant left, and some of them will survive. So it's not exactly the end. He's just killing a lot of fucking people and then
Right.
sending them back later.
Right.
Like that's not the end.
So is it like the end, or is it like just the first book in the chapter of a
Right.
like 20 book series?
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's not the end, bro.
If that's the case, then we've hit many ends already. So
It has roused itself against you. Yeah, it did roused. I love it when a country arouses itself. See? It comes. Doom has come upon you who dwell in the land.
yeah.
The time has come. The day is near.
This is like he's saying the same thing just over and over again. Yeah, it's the end. Okay, we get it.
Yep. There is panic, not joy, on the mountains.
I mean, if I'm being killed by a god, I suppose I'd be panicking.
And
or
not
people.
joyful.
If I'm
Yeah.
being killed, period,
Yeah.
I'm probably panicking.
And not joyful.
Not joyful.
Right. I'm about to pour out my wrath on you and spend my anger against you. Now, I know we've heard that before because it's my favorite thing to say, I'm about to. So I know I said that yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm about to get you.
Well, we're getting into some repetitive, like, phrasing in this book, just like we do in every book.
Every book, it's like they shoot their shot in the first 3 chapters.
And you know what?
By the time we get to like chapter 4 and 5, they're like, "Oh, we're out of material."
Yeah, but I got to say, Ezekiel did shoot a good shot.
He did.
I mean, that fever dream of a fucking drug trip at the beginning of this book was crazy.
Yeah,
And
actually, just in case y'all missed it, over the weekend we did a Patreon episode about angels, but also fuck angels.
Right.
And it was a good one, I think.
Yeah.
So y'all probably want to get up in there.
Inspired from Ezekiel chapter 1.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah, because supposedly he saw all them things,
Right.
So just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Plug in my
that
good
Patreon
work.
one more time. Yeah.
No, plug in my work.
Oh, well, yeah. You do put a lot of research into those episodes.
It's a good one.
Yep.
Okay. I will judge you according to your conduct, says God, and repay you for all your detestable practices. All that sex you be having up in those trees.
I don't know if I want you to repay me, man.
No,
you can just keep
thanks.
your, whatever. We're good.
Yeah, keep the change, bitch. I will not look on you with pity. Have you ever? Nobody thought you might.
Right?
I will not spare you. I mean, but you will, though.
Some.
You will spare
Some.
them. But that's what it means. You're going to spare some.
Yeah.
So you can't say, I'm not going to spare you as a nation.
And then do it.
And then say that the nation is going to, kind of survive a little.
Right. And there's not really a reason for it because he still calls those people shitty, too, because he's going to... You're all bad, but I'm going to let some of you live so that later on, 10 generations from now, or whatever the fuck the time frame is,
I can get you
you
again.
guys can come back, and then at that point, you'll be good for some reason because probably, maybe, reasons. I don't know.
Well, it's supposed to be that they learn their lesson and then they...
But they never do. We still don't.
Get down hardcore on the practices.
Yeah, but, there's not been a time in human history where we followed God's law to the nth degree in any society because it's just dumb.
Right. Okay, so God keeps talking and he says, I will repay you for your conduct and for the detestable practices among you. I'm about sick of the word detestable, just to be clear.
Right.
Then you will know that it is I, the Lord, who strikes you.
We
knew.
How are we going to know that, though? Are you going to tell us? You going to show up? You going
to let us see you?
How are we going to know?
I mean, Ezekiel got to see your dick. What you going to show the rest of us, you know?
Yeah, they don't want us to talk about that, so.
No, that's crazy.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody, but there's a God's dick in the Bible.
Yeah,
his loin.
Crazy.
And that's really why Ezekiel fell on his face. See the day? See? It comes. Doom has burst forth. The rod has been budded. Arrogance has blossomed. See?
Okay.
Did you see it?
Sure.
Did you see?
I guess.
It's there.
Right.
Violence has arisen. A rod to punish the wicked. Whee!
Wait, is he talking about violence has arisen from God, like him?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the violence?
A rod to punish the wicked.
God, am arising the violence.
Yeah, he's talking about the people from the north, whoever they may be.
Well, yeah, his tool.
Yeah, that's the rod he's using to punish the wicked.
Okay.
That's his rod.
All right. Whatever.
None of the people will be left. None of that crowd. None of their wealth. Nothing of value.
No, nothing. Okay.
Because he's going to, Babylon's going to get overtaken.
Yeah, right.
So
sure.
That's what he's saying.
Okay.
The time has come. The day has arrived. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller grieve, for my wrath is on the whole crowd. It's on the crowd. I'm in the cloud, but my eye's on the crowd.
Buyers and sellers alike, they're all screwed.
No buyer's remorse and seller beware.
Yeah,
I don't know. However that goes.
Sure.
The seller will not recover the property that was sold as long as both buyer and seller live.
Okay.
For the vision concerning the whole crowd will not be reversed. Because of their sins, not one of them will preserve their life.
Okay. But some of them do. Right, so, okay. Yeah. That's kind of false.
Right? I'm like, are you...
You're being very hyperbolic here.
Are you
just like
talking about the Israelites? Because you literally just got saying that you made Ezekiel do a little show, a little puppet show.
Right.
Talking about how some of them will live.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you talking about Babylon? Like, what are you talking about? He's just being
sometimes hyperbolic. We like it to be everybody. Sometimes we're like, no, but some of you will make it. So
okay.
Sometimes we like to redeem. Sometimes we like to kill everybody. That's how it goes. That's how it's gone the whole way.
All right.
So
they have blown the trumpet. Burr, 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 burr. They have made all things ready, but no one will go into battle, for my wrath is on the whole crowd. I like my evil laugh there.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Outside is the sword. Inside are plague and famine. What's behind door 3? Those in the country will die by the sword. Those in the city will be devoured by famine and plague.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds about right.
Sure.
Okay. I mean,
awful thing's gonna awful.
I mean, well, that's what happens. That's the way they war. They close the city down.
Right. There's no surprises here. Yeah. This is how things go. This is how they do. Regardless of whether Yahweh's involved or not. It doesn't really fucking matter. This is how war went.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we already read in previous chapters in our research there that was a standard for how they got their enemies to capitulate.
Yeah.
They surrounded a city, and rather than just attacking the city outright and losing men of their own, they would just starve them out.
Yeah, I bet the Babylonians would have attacked another culture the exact same way.
They did.
Don't you think?
They did.
I know.
The fugitives who escape will flee to the mountains. Like doves of the valleys, they will all moan, each for their own sins. Every hand will go limp. Every leg will be wet with urine.
Oh, so you're going to piss yourself before you die, apparently.
Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. Don't piss up a wet rope.
Right.
They will put on sackcloth and be clothed with terror. I mean, that sounds like me every day that I have to get up and go out into the world. I'm clothed in terror. Like, the best thing that ever happened to me was when grocery stores started doing their click list or their like
those are pretty
delivery.
great. Yeah.
Like their curbside pickup or the delivery services.
I just like it because it saves time, like the click list, especially, like you can still go there, not have to pay a delivery fee, and like they just bring it out to you and you just
out to your car. Yeah,
you don't have to do any frivolous shopping while you're doing it. And
just buy your shit, sit in your car.
Right.
I love curbside. It's great. It's the best.
Yeah.
I mean, it does save time, but for me, it also allows me to not have to interact with other humans.
Also, very rarely when I'm sitting there in the parking lot does God enact wrath on me. So it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, like, all the things are just wonderful about it.
I mean, I love a day when God is not wrathing on me.
Yeah. No, those are good days. Mm-hmm, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Every face will be covered with shame, and every head will be shaved. But will it be shaved with a sword? That's what
you're just not doing it right unless you do it with a sword.
Mm-hmm. They will throw their silver into their streets, and their gold will be treated as a thing unclean. This is talking about the sacking of the city and the riches. Their silver and gold will not be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. It will not satisfy their hunger or fill their stomachs, for it has caused them to stumble into sin. So, they're talking about...
Because they built idols.
Their
and they
riches,
used them to,
blah, blah, blah.
Right. And they lost their way because of it. And whatever. Okay.
That you'll have all the money in the world, but you still won't be able to eat, and you'll be boiling your child or whatever.
I mean, let's just be honest here. The thing that is stopping them from enjoying their lives is one of two things. If we're in biblical canon, it's God, right?
Yeah.
Or if we just go with historical accounts, it's Babylon.
Yeah.
It's war. It's fucking shit that happened to people in those days. That there's just nothing real surprising about any of this. Nothing new as far as how people treated each other in ancient times. This is all... I
was going to say, speaking of that, it would have been Babylon or whatever large culture at the time, whatever empire was trying to spread out and take over the little guys.
Yeah, for sure.
If it wasn't Babylon, it was Assyria. If it wasn't Assyria, it would have been Egypt. If it wasn't Egypt, it was whoever else was big times back there, the Canaanites or whatever.
Right,
know?
Yeah.
They took pride in their beautiful jewelry and used it to make their detestable idols. You know what? We still do that today. Like,
sure.
I mean, have you seen all those little pop-up stores on Facebook where women be selling their jewelry to each other and like their leggings and stuff, all those MLM, the pop-up things,
right, sure.
Like, oh my God. I mean, I'm not saying that it's bad to like buy jewelry and buy leggings and buy candles and buy whatever, but
they're everywhere.
It makes me feel like this. You know what I mean? It makes me...
Just get on that little chat words. This is detestable. This is...
Right? I don't know. There's something about an MLM pop-up selling jewelry on Facebook Live that just makes me feel like, ooh, y'all are like Judah. Y'all are like that town. Like, you're just asking for Babylon to come get ya. I don't know.
I don't know about all that, but okay.
I understand like that is a leap. I get it.
Yeah.
I can't understand why my brain is making that connection. I'm just telling you that my brain did make that connection.
Okay. All right.
Sometimes I see patterns where there aren't. Just letting you know. I cannot stand an MLM.
Yeah.
Not just an MLM. Okay, I know I'm off topic here. Okay, but it's not just an MLM. It's an MLM that is like all in and everybody's for it and it's like really popular and like we're all just supposed to be like, yeah, that's cool. And I'm like looking at everybody around me buying makeup or buying candles and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with all of you? Why are you guys all like, yep, this is the one we're buying from this month. Like, what's the popular one this month, Like, now that Tupperware has gone away, there's just always a new one, and it's just so weird to me. People are weird. That's all I'm trying to say.
Right.
All right. They made it into vile images. Therefore, I will make it a thing unclean for them. I will give their wealth as plunder to foreigners and as loot to the wicked of the earth who will defile it. They're going to defile that earth. Okay?
Yep.
I will turn my face away from the people. And robbers will desecrate the place I treasure.
Okay.
Womp womp.
Yeah.
They will enter it and will defile it.
Sounds great.
Some more.
I guess. Whatever.
Always,
good job, God.
Always be defiling.
Right.
Never not be defiling. Prepare chains, for the land is full of bloodshed and the city is full of violence.
Yeah.
This is negative.
It's been negative for a few chapters.
This is like really chilling my vibe.
Yeah, right.
I will bring the most wicked of nations to take possession of their houses. Yeah, we know.
Right.
You will, and they did.
Yeah.
I will put an end to the pride of the mighty, and their sanctuaries will be desecrated. I mean, that's just mean. That's like...
Actually, it's his sanctuary. It's the fucking temple, right?
I'm like, you're on purpose knocking down your own temple.
Right.
That's like if, like, a Christian went and pooped on the stairs of their own church.
Sure.
Like, why? It makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
It's cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Right? It's throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
Right.
Why are you doing it?
Right.
When terror comes, they will seek peace in vain. Calamity upon calamity will come, and rumor upon rumor. I like calamity. and also, oh no, not rumors. They will go searching for a vision from the prophet. The prophet? Is that like Ezekiel?
Maybe, or the prophet of the time, maybe. I don't know.
I'm just curious because normally it would say a prophet, but here it says the prophet.
Right, but like this could be a generic insertion. Like this feels like a generic insertion into Ezekiel a little bit. Mm-hmm. This whole
fire and brimstone.
It doesn't really follow up on anything. It's just adding it's the same message we've been getting since Isaiah.
I'ma get you.
And so it could be you insert in generic prophet here,
right?
And you could put that in any of the fucking prophets.
That is true.
It doesn't really matter.
They will go searching for a vision from the prophet. Priestly instruction in the law will cease. The council of the elders will come to an end. All the smarties will not be available.
I mean, again, that happens when you get killed by an invading force, I guess.
Right?
So, yeah.
The king will mourn, and the prince will be clothed with despair, and the hands of the people of the land will tremble.
Didn't the princes die?
Yeah, actually, I have a note about king and prince.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try to, recite this from memory.
Sure.
So I'm just going to tell you what this is, okay? The king and the prince are both referring to Zedekiah, okay? The reference to the king is missing in the Septuagint. That's the Greek translation.
Yeah.
So it just says prince. According to the Jerusalem Bible, this may be a later addition, as reference to the king is exceptional in Ezekiel.
Okay.
So it was basically just like some translator, editor person added a word that they weren't supposed to and forgot to remove the other one or something to that effect.
Again, this whole chapter felt very generic and like God's wrath, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Well, and again, back in verse 25 when it said, when terror comes, they will seek peace in vain.
Yeah.
The word terror is destruction in other translations, which we've heard both, but also it could mean shuddering or anguish, which I'm like, I really wish y'all would have changed this up and used one of those other words.
Sure.
Because terror, destruction, terror. I'm like, can we get a thesaurus up in here?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so I'm about to finish. I will deal with them according to their conduct, and by their standards, I will judge them. Then they will know that I
am the Lord.
That's right.
I knew that one. I didn't even have to read the Bible to know that.
You quoted the Bible. What the fuck?
I got there before you got there.
Oh, I paused.
I know.
So that you could. The end.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have a lot to add. Just that this is a regurgitation of the same fire and brimstone God that we've seen throughout all the prophets that we've read so far. And I'm a little bored of it
already. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, Ezekiel started off really strong with the whole, fever dream thing that happened with the angels, and that was some really crazy imagery.
It was different too.
It was very different, yeah.
That made it interesting.
No, I actually really liked those chapters because it was like, what is going on here? This is really cool.
Yeah.
So I was kind of excited for Ezekiel, and maybe, we still got some time to go.
Sure.
But I don't know. It's feeling very repetitive.
Like, okay, Bible.
And you
got me again, Bible.
I just don't know. We'll see.
Well, you could tell how boring this chapter was in that's all the notes I had.
Sure, yeah.
That's it.
We've covered all this kind of stuff before.
Everything else is very straightforward. God's going to get you the end.
Nothing new to see here.
No.
Yeah.
We could have skipped this chapter. It's like a soap opera. We could have skipped this chapter and not missed a thing.
Right, yeah.
And that, to me, is a bad story.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. All right. Well, that was Ezekiel chapter 7.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that we will be back tomorrow, which tomorrow will be our live Discord.
Mm-hmm. At 10 p.m.
At 10 p.m. on Discord. And we have the link in the show notes to go to that. It's not on the live. So you'd have to go to... on our website, there's a link at the top of the website for our Discord channel, so you can go there and join from there.
Mm-hmm.
But we do our lives on Discord exclusively on Tuesdays, and we do a lot more interactive chatting and things like that when we do our lives on Discord. So definitely go check that out.
Yep.
Again, that was Ezekiel chapter 7, which means that we will be back tomorrow with
Ezekiel, or Easy Kyle as I like to call him, chapter 8.
All right, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Wife,
do you remember what happened yesterday and where the hell we are today?
Well, yesterday we read Ezekiel chapter 7.
Sure as fuck did.
And God was mad at Israel again.
Still, forever.
And always. And he's going to enact judgment on them. And then then some of them will repent and they'll be okay.
But mostly he's going to get you.
I feel like I could condense half the Bible into... God's going to kill you. He's going to save a few of you and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like that. We could cut out like half the fucking Old Testament.
I agree.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Yes.
So before we get into the what we're doing and all that stuff, I do want to mention that we are in the midst of a drive for Patreon right now.
Indeed we are.
And I have some updates for that.
Ooh.
So we do have a new trial membership right now that's starting, but we don't actually officially put that up until it's live. So we've got a trial membership. We also have updated some things on our Patreon page, and we now have advertiser tiers.
Ooh.
So for as little as $20 a month, you can have an advertisement run on Sacrilegious Discourse. Now, altogether, there are only 5 slots available for ads. So if you are interested in doing that through our Patreon, get over there, take a look at them. There's only one slot available for each. Like there's only one slot available for each thing. So I don't know what I'm saying. There's room on there for podcast ads, and you can have one. So go have one. I don't know what else to say.
Oh my god. Worst ad ever.
So anyway, now that I'm done butchering the fuck out of that, yesterday we read Ezekiel chapter 7, which means that today we're getting into
Ezekiel chapter 8.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. All right, we are here jumping into Ezekiel chapter 8.
Or Ezekiel, as some people know it. I'm just, throwing that out there. I'm not correcting, just throwing it out there.
Easy K, Here we go.
All right.
In the 6th year, in the 6th month, on the 5th day, while I was sitting in my house and the elders of Judah were sitting before me, the hand of the sovereign Lord came on me there. Ooh, he came on you. What? Okay, let me go check my notes so that I can give you the date.
Right. So he was having a brunch with some.
I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sovereign lords. Was it sovereign lords?
What was it? Yeah, some elders.
Elders.
Yeah,
okay.
Some of the elders.
All right.
Okay, so by most calculations, scholars agree that this day falls on September 17th.
Okay.
592 BCE. Okay.
Okay. Why?
Because I said in the 6th year in the 6th month on the 5th day.
Oh, okay.
And so they calculated it out, and they're like, probably this is the day that he's talking about.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so here's what we know, right? Ezekiel is over in Babylon, right?
Yes. That's what I thought. That's what I understood.
He's in Babylon. However, he's got a house in Babylon.
Yeah.
And
so he's doing all right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You would think.
Insofar
he's not living on the street or something. So.
And the elders of that area where he lives apparently come over and shoot the shit with him regularly because they're not like, it was so weird that they were there, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're just like, yeah, there was this one time when the dudes came over, and so they probably came over periodically or frequently, whatever, to hear what Ezekiel had to say about God.
Ezekiel.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh, boring. So they probably consulted with him on a regular basis.
Okay.
To, get the haps on what God was talking about.
Do you think they were like taken aback when he like poltergeist into like this God vision right in front of them? Is that what happened? Like God was speaking to him like as they were there, wasn't he? Just
the hand of the Lord like touched him on the shoulder or some shit.
It came on him.
Yeah.
I mean,
all over him. I mean, I don't know. He's just sitting there. Okay. All right. So let's find out what happened. Okay.
Right, sure.
I looked and I saw a figure like that of a man from what appeared to be his waist down.
Wait, we're looking at his dick again?
We're looking at his dick again.
God.
But this time,
what
his
is going on?
His dick is on fire.
His dick is on fire.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right.
His waist down, he was like fire. And from there up, his appearance was as bright as glowing metal. Okay?
Okay. All right.
He stretched out what looked like a hand and took me by the hair of my head. He grabbed his hair. Get over here! Remember that one time when he was like, eat it?
Yeah.
The Spirit lifted me up between earth and heaven.
Oh.
And in visions of God, he took me to Jerusalem.
Wow. So this dude gets transported all over the place by celestial beings.
Yeah, but this one's not an actual transportation. It's in spirit only.
Okay.
Because it says in visions.
But I feel like this guy's got the hookup with divine Uber.
He does have divine Uber, indeed. He does. So God took him in visions to Jerusalem, to the entrance of the north gate of the inner court, where the idol that provokes to jealousy stood.
Okay. All right.
And there before me was the glory of the God of Israel, as in the vision I had seen in the plain. So God, like in spirit, picked him up and took him to Jerusalem and plopped him down, and then is like standing before him as appearing like he did on the plane. Okay.
All right.
Like weird.
Yeah. Well, we've had multiple times where he's like appeared to him this way, where it's an odd vision that he's having of God.
Indeed.
or other beings that are of heaven or whatever.
Right.
Not heaven, but whatever. That shit up there in the sky.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Right. Then God said to me, Ezekiel, son of man, mere human,
right.
Look toward the north. So I looked, and in the entrance north of the gate of the altar, I saw this idol of jealousy.
Okay.
And he said to me, son of man, you mere human,
yeah.
Do you see what the fuck they are doing? The utterly detestable things the Israelites are doing here.
What are they doing?
Things that will drive me far from my sanctuary. But you will see things that are even more fucking detestable. Just wait.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm curious what these things are.
They're not that bad.
Oh, okay.
Just telling you. But
God's probably willing to kill over it, though.
Yeah. He's like, like he's blustery and his cheeks are red and blown out. He's like he can't even talk. He's so pissed.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then God brought me, Ezekiel, to the entrance to the court. I looked and I saw a hole in the wall. Now, in some translations, he spiritually dug a hole in the wall to be able to see
something.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, no, that's actually about to happen. My bad.
Oh, okay.
He said to me, son of man, mere human.
Right.
Now dig into the wall. So I dug into the wall and I saw a doorway there. And he said to me, go in and see the wicked and detestable things they are doing here. Ugh.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
All right, yeah, I'm ready. This is in Jerusalem, hypothetically, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, in spirit only.
And then this is like
in a vision.
This is like the Christmas Carol, but like Ezekiel and God.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
All right.
So I went in and looked.
The ghost of Jerusalem's present. Yeah, present. Maybe I don't know something.
Yeah. So I went in and looked, and I saw portrayed all over the walls all kinds of crawling things and unclean animals and all the idols of Israel. So basically, people
so it's like a storehouse for idols and animals?
No. The people who are allowed in the temple, the only ones allowed in are priests and you know,
yeah.
And so
this is what they were housing in there.
Yeah, well, they're unclean animals and idols of Israel. It's not a storehouse. They're actively worshiping pagan gods in the house of Yahweh.
And we're supposed to believe this based on a dream from Ezekiel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And this is what they're doing in there. And God is like, can you even? I mean, what the F?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
In front of them stood 70 elders of Israel.
70 elders.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jaazaniah, son of Shaphan, was standing among them. So,
is there some significance to this guy? Or
yes, because Shaphan was the father of two other dudes that from Jeremiah.
Okay.
They were the ones that helped Jeremiah. Like they were.
Oh, so these are people that helped Jeremiah?
No.
Oh,
stop.
Sorry.
Let me explain.
Okay.
Okay. So this guy Shaphan, he's got 3 sons at least.
3 sons.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 of them are good and in good standing, and they helped Jeremiah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this other one,
he's a shithead.
He's clearly a piece of shit.
Got it.
And
okay.
The apple fell far from the tree with this one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So that's what happened. So he's standing there like a bad representation of this decent family with all of these elders praising and worshiping idols.
Okay.
In the house of God.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was standing among them. Each had a censer in his hand, and a fragrant cloud of incense was rising. So a censer is, it holds incense.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So they're all like raising incense to these idols.
Got it.
He said to me, God said to me, Son of man, you mere human, have you seen what the elders of Israel are doing in the darkness, each at the shrine of his own idol? They say the Lord does not see us. The Lord has forsaken the land.
They're burning incense. That's what they're doing?
But there's also unclean animals there, so they sacrificed animals they weren't supposed to sacrifice.
Okay.
And the idols are not supposed to be in there, and they're lighting the incense to worship these other gods.
Okay, so let me just make sure I got this correct.
Mm-hmm.
There's dead animals, much like there is in God's temple.
Mm-hmm. But the wrong ones.
The wrong ones, but they're still dead animals, right?
Yes.
There's burning sticks of scent, and there is wooden or metal statues.
Right.
And God is going to get pissed off to the point where he wants to kill people over this.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify before we moved along.
Yes.
That that's what was going on.
Yeah.
So.
And they were doing it in secret.
Sure. I mean.
What's the point?
I guess if you're going to get in trouble for something, you'd probably do it in secret.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Okay. So that's like the first thing that he sees.
I got to say, though, it probably isn't that fucking secret because honestly, he's punishing all of Israel / Judah for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like it's very secret.
Right.
It's kind of out there.
It's very
It's like on the hilltops and in the ravines and in the fucking temple and it's in the houses. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to see more, but that's like the first thing he sees. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's like, this is fucked up, but just wait, it gets worse.
Right.
Okay. Right. Again, he said, you will see them doing things that are even more detestable.
Okay.
Then he brought me to the entrance of the north gate of the house of the Lord, and I saw women sitting there mourning the god Tammuz.
Not mourning something.
Okay, there's a whole backstory to this, and there's enough that I found our Q&A.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
They're not mourning like it's part of a practice.
Okay.
Like
So this is a ritual for this pagan god or whatever.
Yes, and we're going to talk about Tammuz later. Okay?
Yeah.
Just hold that thought in your head that these women... Yeah. I mean, it's the day after tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
So the people are... or I guess it's the day after tomorrow. Because this comes out on Wednesday.
Yeah, whatever. It's someday this weekend.
Yes.
Later after today.
Right. So the women are performing a ritual to a very well-known
pagan god. Right.
Okay. He said to me, and they're doing it not in secret. They're
just out in the open right there by the gate.
Yeah, these women are right out there in front of the house, like in the gate, like you said.
And we've talked about this before, too. They obviously don't fear Yahweh very much.
Exactly.
Whatever.
So they're like, what?
Wait, you know what? There's things happening, right? Politically. Like, I'm sure there's armies bearing down on them near this point in time.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they've already been attacked by Babylon once.
Sure.
And had a bunch of them taken.
Not if we're like in the 590s or whatever, but...
No, we are because... Because Ezekiel was in the second group, the second wave of people that got cold.
You're right. Yeah. So they're like... If you don't have a clear message, and they didn't, like we've talked about that, there's all kinds of wrong prophets, there's all kinds of shit going on.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a clear message from the one God, right? That hypothetically rules everything.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a clear message from that God, why wouldn't you reach out to try to get other types of help?
Exactly.
You know, like, fuck this shit. Things are going south, man. I need some help.
Well, not only that, but why wouldn't they think that their God has deserted them? It kind of seems like he did.
He pretty much said he did.
Yeah. So,
like, fuck him.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. So God said to me, Ezekiel, do you see this, son of man? You mere human. You will see things that are even more detestable than this.
More than worshiping another. Oh my God, not more than worshiping another God.
I have a spoiler alert. Ready? Yeah. What do you think the last one is? Never mind. It's worshiping another God.
Again?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So how is worshiping this God more detestable than worshiping that God?
Because the first one was in secret. The next one was in front of the house. These ones? Just wait.
Okay.
Just wait.
All right. I'm waiting.
He then brought me into the inner court of the house of the Lord.
Not the inner court. Why would they do it there?
And there at the entrance to the temple between the portico and the altar were about 25 men.
Not 25 men. The women, they're just dumb, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they can get away with... I'm being facetious here.
No, I know. Yeah.
But men, 25 of them, huh?
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
With their backs toward the temple of the Lord and their faces toward the east, they were bowing down to the sun in the east. They were worshiping the sun god. Well, which, if it was Egypt, would be called Ra, you know?
Their God literally just admitted that he sent armies after them.
Yeah.
So even if you did believe in that God, I might switch teams at that point, you know?
Right? Yeah.
Like, kind of fuck off, man.
What I'm finding interesting is that there are 3 different groups of people in this vision worshiping at least 3 different gods.
Right.
At the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, these people clearly are afraid of what's coming, and they're like, okay, you guys go pray.
They're throwing spaghetti at the God wall.
Yeah, totally. They're like, you guys go in and you pray to this God and this God and this God. You ladies come over here, you pray to that God, and we're going to go over here and we're going to pray to the Egyptian God.
Yeah, shit is not going well.
Yeah.
Let's fix this any way we can.
And we want to go back home to Judah because we're in Babylon right now. Or no, these guys are in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
My bad.
Right. And all we got here in Jerusalem is this guy that cries a lot.
Oh, yeah. Fucking weeping Jeremiah. Yeah. So I find that really interesting that people are doing all this.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense.
Right.
So God said to me, Jeremiah, have you seen this, son of man? Is it a trivial matter for the people of Judah to do the detestable things they are doing here? Must they also fill the land with violence? Oh, you're one to speak.
Wait, filling what?
And continually arouse my anger?
Oh, fuck this God.
Okay.
Like, what is his fucking problem? Like, he is causing the violence. Unless we're talking about like the child sacrifice or things like that, right? But God is basically saying, I'm bringing the violence. I'm bringing the pain. I'm bringing all this shit.
Well, and here's another thing. Like, psychology teaches us today that when an abusive husband is beating his wife and he tells her,
"Why are you making me do this?
You're pissing me off."
Yeah.
Like, that is not, he is not in control of his emotions. She might be doing things that are heinous, but be that as it may, you get to, I'm not saying you get to not be mad. I'm saying you're not controlling your anger correctly.
Right.
And only you can do that. Nobody else can do that.
No, and we touch on the same things a lot, but like, this is a God who is supposed to be all powerful and all knowing, all the things, right? Mm-hmm. And he can't even control his anger.
Right.
He can't, like, there are ways to settle disputes that are much better than the way he handles things.
Right.
And apparently he's not capable of that. And that just strikes me as not very godlike. Mm-hmm. And we know why this is. This is man projecting their flaws into this God at the time of when it was written, which was thousands of years ago.
Which would be fine if it just ended there. But no, now we're supposed to pretend that this God is perfect and still exists. And I'm like...
it's literally not written perfect. It's literally written as a very, very, very flawed God. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very flawed.
The writing itself is flawed. Errors galore.
Yeah.
Like, hello, how come God didn't have it recorded
at least
correctly?
Fix the fucking errors.
Right?
Jesus.
Typos, whatever. Like, that's just, seriously, like, they're like, this is the word of God. And yes, it was recorded by man, but they were guided by God. And I'm like, God doesn't know how to make them not have grammatical errors or whatever.
If it was guided by God, why wasn't it written right the first time? Why did people in different time frames have to go back and edit the fucking Bible for these other people that God supposedly inspired to write these words, right?
Yeah.
Why were there edits done later? If this is the word of God,
right? It's
not a very well done piece,
right? Because
it is not complete. Like, it should be complete the first time through, right?
Right.
If it's not the word of God, you can do it flawlessly the first time through. You don't need to edit it. And if you did edit it, it's no longer the word of God.
Exactly.
So
boom, there it is.
Yeah.
Yep. So God's like, must they also fill the land with violence and continually arouse my anger? Ugh, that makes me so mad.
Right.
Look at them putting the branch to their nose. Therefore, I will deal with them in anger. I will not look on them with pity or spare them. Although they shout in my ears, I will not listen to them.
Yeah.
The end.
He's turning his back on his people.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a fuck.
So that phrase, look at them putting the branch to their nose.
Yeah.
Like,
I was curious about that.
We have no idea what that means. There are several different suggestions. Like, it might have been just some kind of gesture that was a common insult back then.
Okay.
Like, today if we said he stuck up his middle finger, like 1,000 years from now, they might be, what the fuck does that mean? Whereas today we know, yeah, he's flicking them off.
I mean, I could try to come up with, like, like the trees I know were very important to those people with their other gods.
Yes.
So, like, maybe it was taking in the essence of these other gods as opposed to...
one of the other suggestions is that they were lifting the branches to
shield themselves from Yahweh.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. There's also another thing that there's a typo maybe, and that it says that God is putting the branch to his nose, in which case he's like blocking his nostril, not able to breathe in.
Okay.
And so he's like, they're pissing me off, God damn it.
Right. And maybe the smells are detestable to him because they're sacrificing the wrong animals to these other gods.
And they're burning incense to the other gods.
Which is not the correct incense and all that crap, right?
Right. So, I mean, there's any number of things that could mean, none of which is, like, important to the overall story.
Right.
So...
But
who cares?
Curiosities, I like touching on some of that stuff just because it's somewhat interesting to be like, okay, what was that supposed to mean?
Right. I mean, just sitting by itself, like, what does that mean? And then when you find out, like, sometimes it's interesting. It's like, oh, it came from this, which came from that, and
sometimes it's just not really that important.
Exactly.
Right.
It's always more interesting when you can trace it back to something that we still do to this day.
All right. Well, that was Ezekiel chapter 8.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that we will be back tomorrow with
Ezekiel chapter 9.
All right. We'll see you then.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you remember what the hell happened yesterday and where the hell we are today?
Well, yesterday we got done reading Ezekiel chapter 8.
We sure as fuck did.
And in that episode, we had Ezekiel getting a vision while he was sitting there with, 70 prophets or something like, or elders?
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was 70?
That sounds like a lot of people.
Who the fuck hosts 70 people?
I don't think it was that many people.
Because it was in his house.
It was in his house.
That's like a goddamn,
I don't think it was 70.
That's an event, man.
I think you're crazy. I don't think it was 70.
I don't know. I thought they said 70. Anyway, they were in Ezekiel's house, and then God came on them. And
he did.
Yeah, I mean that's what it said. I'm just quoting the Bible.
Okay, I just double checked. It was not 70. There was no number specified.
No numbers. Oh, I don't know where I pulled 70 from.
I don't know. Maybe the date or something.
Could be.
Yeah.
Anyway, there were some elders in this house.
Some elders came over and were like, "What's the haps?"
And then God came on them.
God came on them.
And he took them on like a celestial Uber trip. Ezekiel, yeah, I'm sorry. He took Ezekiel.
Celestial Uber trip.
On a celestial Uber trip in his mind to Jerusalem, where they were peeking on some people doing some idol worship.
Yep.
And God obviously was threatening to kill them all because that's what God does.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. Like it.
He's like, I'm so mad. I'm gonna kill you guys so hard.
Yeah. So that was before we hop into this bit.
Yeah.
We just wanted to re-mention this, but we are in the midst of a Patreon drive on our website.
Oh yeah, we are.
So if you go to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, right at the top of our website, we've got a banner that we're tracking our new subscriptions and everything like that. As far as we got a goal of $400 per month. So we're trying to reach that. And we'd love your help. We do have some new tiers set up for advertisers at this point. So if you have something you want to advertise on a 60-second or less spot on our podcast, we have advertising slots available for as low as $20 per month. So just reach out to us, get on the Patreon because those slots are available there to sign up for. That being said, yesterday we read Ezekiel chapter 8.
Sure as fuck did.
And today we're hopping into
Ezekiel chapter 9.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. All right, we are hopping into Ezekiel chapter 9.
All right, Ezekiel chapter 9.
Ezekiel. Easy K.
Yeah.
So Easy K heard him, God, call out in a loud voice.
Yes.
Bring those, what do you say? Bring near those who are appointed to execute judgment on the city, each with a weapon in his hand.
That would be the Babylonians, I'm assuming. Because they're the ones executing the judgment, I would imagine.
Well, we're about to get into what happened.
All right.
Don't forget, this is a vision that Ezekiel's having.
Got it.
So they're not coming right this second. Okay.
All right.
So now Ezekiel continues, and I saw 6 men coming from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north.
So the north people again. Yeah. Okay.
Each with a deadly weapon in his hand.
6 people, though. Okay.
With them was a man clothed in linen who had a writing kit at his side. Writing as in writer, not like riding a horse.
Okay.
But like writing a scroll. Now, I'm going to pause here because there's something interesting about that whole thing.
Yeah, no, 6 people are not going to conquer Jerusalem. So
no. That's not what this is.
All right.
Okay. Stop presupposing that you know what's about to happen.
Sometimes I do.
But you really don't this time. Okay.
Right, yeah.
That's not what this is.
Okay.
So first of all, there's a controversy over whether there is 6 people or 7 people total. Because like what we're reading here is a very simplified version. Yeah. But more complex versions, like for example, the King James or whatever.
Yeah.
And others of the like. They say I saw 6 men, and then it doesn't say with them was a man. It says of them was a man.
Oh. Okay.
And with the writing.
Writer. Yeah.
Yeah. So most people agree though. Even though it's a controversy, it's a small controversy. Most people agree that, no, it is the 6 that are dressed with a weapon and then the one guy who has his pen and ink and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So for 7 total.
Sure.
Okay. Which makes sense. Now, about that writing kit, in every other version, it doesn't say writing kit. It says inkhorn.
Inkhorn?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I got to that, I was like, the fuck is an inkhorn?
Right.
It's the scribe's writing equipment, which included a pen, an inkhorn, and a wax writing, writing tablet.
Okay.
And an inkhorn is an inkwell made of horn. So it's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's a horn with ink in it. And it was an important item for many scholars, which soon became symbolic of writers in general.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So just wanted to, that partly explains how we can pretty much agree. Yeah, there's probably 7 dudes here.
Got it.
Okay. One more thing is that where it says men, don't forget that one of the classifications of angels, if you heard our Patreon episode, one of the classifications of angels is men. And those are the ones who are most man-like and viewable by humans or whatever.
Sure.
So these are likely not actual humans. These are probably more angels of the Lord kind of thing.
Maybe, yeah. Okay.
So based on what happens, I'm going to go with that
In
theory.
a dream at that, though.
Right, yes,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got the 6 dudes with deadly weapons. We've got the man with his pen and ink, okay? They came in and stood beside the bronze altar. I'm having a hard time reading, I apologize. So they came in and stood beside an altar that was made of bronze.
Okay.
Now the glory of the God of Israel went up from above the cherubim where it had been. So God is leaving his little ark seat.
Yeah, because that was, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And moved to the threshold of the temple.
Okay.
So he's
at the door.
He's leaving the ark thing.
Right.
Okay. So that's his symbolic of him leaving Israel.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Then the Lord called to the man clothed in linen who had the writing kit at his side and said to him, so he's like a record keeper guy.
Sure.
Go throughout the city of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of those who grieve and lament over all the detestable things that are done in it.
Oh, wait. So we're like, this is like Passover again?
This is like the Passover.
We're going to mark everybody that he doesn't want to kill?
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for basically everybody who's like, no, why are you doing this to Israel? Stop worshiping idols and burning incense to the wrong gods and killing unclean animals.
Okay, look, I've complained in the past that like they didn't go in and search for the good people. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess I have I guess I have to give some credit here. That at least they're not going they're going to spare some of them that are good this time. But we're still murdering people for worshiping fucking wooden and metal idols. So this is there's no way to make this correct.
Yeah.
But this is better at being incorrect, I guess. Maybe, sort of, ish.
I still have problems with it.
In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter though.
It's less bad murder? ? Yeah. Are there degrees of bad murder?
I don't know.
I mean, sure,
yeah,
it's
you're
better,
still dead either way.
It's better that you only killed 500 as opposed to 10,000, right? Sure, I agree with you.
Well, we did talk about the fact that like there are different types of murder that are bad. When you let someone starve to death versus kill them quickly,
yeah,
that is definitely worse in my opinion.
That is true.
And God does both of those things. So
yeah, you're right.
Generally, like the men get off easy because they're the ones that go into battle and die. And then the women and children have to go and starve and eat each other and fucking crazy ass shit like that. So
that's true. Okay, so Ezekiel's talking.
Okay.
As I listened, God said to the others, follow him through the city and kill without showing pity or compassion. Slaughter the old men, the young men and women, the mothers and children. But do not touch anyone who has the mark. Begin at my sanctuary. What I want to know is how the fuck does every child not have a mark on his forehead? Right?
Yeah, that should be a given.
Right? Because
I mean, there's no way.
Children don't have permission to just, worship who they want. They will worship who their parents tell them to worship.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then they're in trouble for, breaking one of those commandment thingies where they didn't honor the parents.
Right. You just can't win as a child.
Yeah.
Like, you either are going to be doing the wrong thing because your parents told you to do the wrong thing, or you're going to be doing,
the right thing,
and you're still against your parents, so you're doing the wrong thing.
Exactly.
Like, there is no win.
Yeah. So, in my mind, every child here that he's talking about better have a fucking mark on his forehead.
Yeah.
But I'm going to guess they don't.
They said they killed children, so.
Yeah.
Just now.
Exactly. All right, so Ezekiel speaking.
Okay.
So they began with the old men who were in front of the temple. Then he said to them, defile the temple and fill the courts with the slain. Go. So God is ordering them to defile his own temple. He's like, I don't sit there anymore.
Okay.
It's not mine. Go ahead and defile it.
Sure.
So they went out and began killing throughout the city. While they were killing and I, Ezekiel, was left alone, I fell face down, crying out, Alas, sovereign Lord, are you going to destroy the entire remnant of Israel in this outpouring of your wrath on Jerusalem? He's like, Jesus Christ, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, I think that's a fair reaction.
It's a fair question, yeah.
I mean, he did fall on his face, so he's like, I respect that you are powerful and you're God and whatever, but this seems crap.
It is crap.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
All the murder and mayhem that God causes is crap. Like, there's no justification for the things he's doing.
Right.
You can't justify murder, and that's what anybody who believes this shit is essentially justifying a lot of fucking murder.
Right.
By their God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
when we say God, of course, we're saying in canon, in the Bible, because we don't believe in God.
Right. Yeah. So, no, I mean, that's why I said their God.
Yeah.
And it's not, we don't believe that this actually happened this way, for sure. But these people, the people that do believe in God, believe that this is all real.
Yeah.
Like, this, it's like,
they're okay with it.
It's like if we watched Superman and thought the Superman could really fly and was out there saving the fucking world and flying and making time go backwards and shit. And
didn't you have a cousin that thought Superman was real?
I did. And yeah. We were talking about it the other day, and apparently, I don't remember this, but apparently he jumped off some stairs one time and broke his arm because he thought he could fly like Superman.
Wasn't he believing that like well into his...
It was longer than he should have, for sure. Yeah.
And didn't you have another cousin who believed in Santa well into longer than she should have?
Yes.
You got some interesting cousins, husband.
Right. Well, when part of we argued with our cousin about the Superman thing, because we were like, okay, so do you believe, like, he believed the movie, right? So me and my brother at the time, I mean, we couldn't have been more than maybe 9 or 10, something like that. We were arguing with him like, okay, so do you believe that Rambo is real? Like, we're literally videotaping this guy just like shooting down, so many people, like that's crazy. He's like, why would you believe the movie is real?
Yeah.
There's no reason to believe that the movie is real.
Over
These things
any
can't
other
actually
movie.
happen. Right. Yeah.
Why this movie over any other movie?
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway, Ezekiel says, he answered me, the sin of the people of Israel and Judah is exceedingly great. The land is full of bloodshed, and the city is full of injustice. They say, the Lord has forsaken the land. The Lord does not see. So, I will not look on them with pity or spare them.
The Lord has forsaken the land, so I'm going to forsake the land.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But I'll bring down on their own fucking heads what they have done.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll show them.
Right.
How are they going to learn you just killed them?
Right.
Like, well, I might have learned. I don't know. Maybe you could have talked to me to my fucking face, but
yeah.
Nope.
No, he's got to pass these messages around through crazy people that are watching shit come down from lightning skies with fucking eyeballs on the wheels and, I don't know. Just whatever. Like the one guy, I mean, was it Isaiah that wandered around naked in the fucking desert? And then Jeremiah was definitely a fucking traitor. Like, these are their reliable sources.
Right.
It's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
Yeah.
So then Ezekiel says, then the man in linen with the writing kit at his side brought back word saying, I've done as you commanded. The end. So they in his dream. Yep.
They went around, these angels and the guy writing whatever.
I don't know what he was writing down.
I don't know what
he was keeping record, I guess.
For something that hasn't happened yet, apparently.
Right.
And doesn't happen because the only thing that did happen was Babylon came in and invaded Jerusalem.
Exactly.
So like this didn't happen. There is no way to corroborate this actually as an event in history.
I mean, he might have had this dream. I don't fucking know, but that's beside the point.
Okay, I don't care if it happened 2,000 years ago or yesterday.
Right.
If some fucking angel came by and put a mark in your goddamn head and you lived, and the next guy to you didn't because he didn't have a fucking mark on his head, and there's angels killing everybody, that shit would probably, and there's some celestial dude writing it down, that stuff's gonna make it forward somewhere.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But it didn't.
No,
it didn't.
Totally.
Like, this is just in his little fucking dream thing.
I mean, okay, here's the thing. Like, me and you have been saying for the last couple months, I'm going to veer into politics a little bit.
Yeah.
We're like, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure Trump's going to win the presidency. I hate it. I don't want it to be true.
Right.
But I'm
feeling that way.
I'm looking at the way everything. I live in Ohio.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
I see all the signs, and it's not okay, guys. I'm pretty sure Trump's going to win, and I do not want that. But be that as it may, right? Now, just because if Trump does indeed win, whether through actual or cheating or what the fuck ever, I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
Right.
If he does, that doesn't mean that we were prognosticators or people who could foretell the future or prophets, if you will.
No, we're just reading the room.
We're reading the room. We are sniffing what's on the wind, you know?
Right.
We pay attention to politics.
And news, and yeah.
So, I mean, it seems to me that all of these prophets, they're all connected with leaders. They all have family in high places.
Yeah.
All of them. And so it seems to me that they all kind of know what's coming without magic, without help of God, without, dreams and visions. They you can sometimes see what's coming.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, this is
magic.
not rocket science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're just taking their best guesses, and these things made it through. Like the written form that made it through because they were sort of kind of right.
Yeah.
Like not. Even in the sort of kind of right, they're not right.
Exactly.
But for all intents and purposes, they had some, semblance of truth that was able to make it seem like they had some vision of what was happening.
Well, and then they had a little bit of help with people who came back along the way and backfilled some of the information to make it even seem more magical.
Right. And well, of course, like in a chapter like this with Ezekiel, right? Especially given the intro that we had to him.
Yeah.
You can take this vision about angels, and you can be like, well, this is just a symbolism for the coming slaughter from the Babylonians, right? Because
you know what's coming, you can fill in the blanks yourself.
Sure.
You have a preconceived notion.
Right. But then the whole marking of the head, it's kind of, I can see how it could be apologized away. But it's still really weird, and it's still not something that actually happened. So,
right.
I don't know. However you want to take that, take it.
Magic is not a thing.
I don't believe in prophecy. I don't think this shit happened. I actually am. It's more than think. I'm fairly fucking certain it didn't happen.
Right.
So, it is what it is.
Magic isn't real, and there is no God. The end.
Right. Before we get out of here, I do want to mention to everybody, if you haven't joined us on our lives that we're doing, we're basically Monday through Wednesday now. So we're doing lives on YouTube and Twitch on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. And then Tuesdays are our regular live Discord, which we're a lot more interactive on that one than we are on the YouTube and Twitch ones. So if you want to chat with us, hop into Discord.
And that's at 10 p.m.
10 p.m., yes. And if you want to just, hop into a nice little live and see how we do the magic, come on over to the YouTube or the Twitch and join us there.
Yep.
And also don't forget, if you have the ability to help us on Patreon, we have that drive going. Definitely would appreciate that. I got nothing else. Are you good? Do we have anything else to say before we get out of here?
Fuck Ezekiel.
Sure. That's a good way to end it. All right. That was Ezekiel chapter 9.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that tomorrow we will be back with
Ezekiel chapter 10.
We'll see you guys then.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you remember what happened yesterday and how the hell we got here today, right now.
Well,
Yes. Can I help you?
yesterday we read. Well, yeah, it was yesterday. Sorry, it's a late day today, so I was, it took me aback for a second there.
Yeah.
But yesterday we read Ezekiel chapter 9.
Sure as fuck did.
Which in that one there was like 6 angel-y type things. They didn't specifically say that in the chapter.
They were men, but I think that they were angel men.
Sure, there were 6 men or angels or whatever, and maybe 1 scribe or 5 and 1 scribe. Who cares? Fuck cares.
Right.
Anyway,
Guys and scribe.
yeah, they went through Jerusalem and like marked people's heads if they were appropriately godly or something, and then they killed the rest of them.
Well, yeah.
And Ezekiel was like, "Whoa, man, like that's horrible."
Like, why? Stop.
Yeah. But I think that was more just so that way you can't go up there in front of people and say this shit and be like, "You all deserve to die. You should die."
Right.
I think you're all awful.
Yeah.
You got to have like some like distance between you and that message.
Like Ezekiel was like, dudes, I tried to stop him. I did ask God why.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you're so like chicken shit of him that you fall on your face every time he comes around. So I don't believe you, kind of.
Yeah. It takes an act of God, literally, to get him to stand up and look at God.
Right? And then there's the whole he saw God's dick thing.
Multiple times. Yeah. That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
I wonder if he's like a Klingon.
Okay.
I learned this week that Klingons have 2 dicks.
And
the
women.
And 2 vaginas.
Yeah.
2 reproductive organs.
Nothing I was aware of until you told me. And I still don't know where the fuck this is coming from. I'm quite certain it was not covered in Next Generation.
I learned it. It did come up, apparently. We missed it because probably they didn't say, Worf has 2 dicks.
Right.
I'm sure that it was like blah, 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 double of every organ, including reproductive, like.
Sure.
But I double checked. After I heard that, I was like, no. And then I double checked, and it is canon. So Worf got 2 Ds.
Interesting.
I wonder if God is so lucky.
I doubt it. I mean, he made, us in his image. So I think he's only got 1.
Right. But we made Worf in our image and then didn't like it and gave him some forehead wrinkles and another penis just for good measure.
Right. So, not the Worf and Klingon stuff, but the rest of that, we that was Ezekiel chapter 9.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that today we're getting into
Ezekiel chapter 10.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie.
Hey, before we get into this, I forgot to mention a couple of things that we have ongoing. So right now we are doing a big Patreon drive, trying to drive some membership to get us up to a level that is going to help us promote our podcast and kind of move forward with things and spread it to a bigger, larger audience. We really need your help doing that. So we're doing that. You can track the drive on sacrilegiousdiscourse.com. And I've got a tracker at the top that as we get new memberships and they go live, we're going to move that needle, and hopefully you guys can help us do that. So go to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com and click through there to go to our Patreon page and sign up for a new tier, which of those tiers, we do have advertising tiers now. So if you do have something you'd like to advertise and you think it's something that would work on our podcast, feel free to sign up for one of those tiers and we will get your ad on our podcast.
And they are limited, so take one now.
Yeah, there's only 5 slots total available for the ads, so do it. All right, that being said, I'm going to let wife get into the episode here.
All right, well, we are hopping into Easy K, Big 10.
Ezekiel chapter 10.
Ezekiel chapter 10, yes. Okay, here we go. Ready?
I'm ready.
I, Ezekiel.
You, Ezekiel. Yeah.
I looked.
Did he look? Okay.
And I saw the likeness of a throne of lapis lazuli above the vault that was above the heads of the cherubim. So he's seeing the throne again.
So, okay.
Okay.
All right.
You know the magical throne?
Yeah. I'm just, nothing really precipitated this. Did we? I'm not really sure what's going on here.
He saw it from the first chapter.
Now he's just seeing it everywhere, huh?
I mean, he's seen it again 10 chapters later.
Got it.
10 chapters. I would say that was my dyslexia happening. The Lord said to the man clothed in linen, so the scribey guy with the inkhorn, Go in among the wheels beneath the cherubim. You know the wheels with the eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fill your hands with burning coals from among the cherubim.
I'm going to pass.
And scatter them over the city.
Okay.
I'm a writer, not a fire starter. What the hell? And as I watched, he went in. So I guess the scribe guy, the guy with the inkhorn.
Yeah.
I guess he went in and did it.
Okay.
Now the cherubim were standing on the south side of the temple when the man went in, and a cloud filled the inner court. Then the glory of the Lord, not the glory, the glory of the Lord rose from above the cherubim and moved to the threshold of the temple. So
okay.
This is God removing his glorious self from the entire ark and the temple and everything.
Got it. Yeah.
Like this is more of that.
Okay.
The happening
in
of
Jerusalem and whole probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Eventually. Cloud filled the temple, and the court was full of the radiance of the glory of the Lord. So the glory of the Lord, like when we talk about the glory of the Lord, it's supposed to be like this physical thing. Like
right.
We don't say like the glory of the Lord and mean like it's glorious. He's glorious. We are actually referring to a physical
God is physically
essence.
there.
His glory is his like.
Though this is technically a dream or something, a vision that he's having. So.
Right. The sound of the wings, remember?
Yeah.
From the first chapter?
Yep.
Of the cherubim could be heard as far away as the outer court, like the voice of God Almighty when he speaks.
Okay.
Remember in the movie Dogma when God was played by Alanis Morissette?
Yes.
And she opened her mouth and like, what's his name? Ben Affleck, the bad angel, his head exploded.
Yes.
That was so cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yep.
When the Lord commanded the man in linen, take fire from among the wheels, from among the cherubim. The man went in and stood beside a wheel. Then one of the cherubim reached out his hand to the fire that was among them. He took up some of it and put it into the hands of the man in linen, who took it and went out.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm about to engage parentheses voice.
Got
Ready?
it, yeah.
Under the wings of the cherubim could be seen what looked like human hands. End parentheses.
Okay.
So the angels don't just have wings, they have human hands.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I looked, and I saw beside the cherubim 4 wheels, one beside each of the cherubim. The wheels sparkled like topaz. As for their appearance, the 4 of them looked alike. Each was like a wheel intersecting a wheel. Remember?
Yeah,
Remember?
that was the word they used. Yeah.
As they moved, they would go in any one of the 4 directions the cherubim faced. The wheels did not turn about as the cherubim went. So it was just able to, zoom.
They just went the ways, but it didn't turn.
Right.
Okay.
It was like side to side and back and forth.
It's like a really shitty Atari game.
It's like Professor Xavier's wheelchair from X-Men.
Yeah.
And it was floaty and goey.
Right. Yeah.
The cherubim went in whatever direction the head faced without turning as they went. Their entire bodies, including their backs, their hands, and their wings, were completely full of eyes, as were their 4 wheels.
Wow.
So many eyes. It's eyes all the way down.
Yeah.
I heard the wheels being called the whirling wheels. That's what I always call wheels.
The whirling wheels.
Those are in quotes.
I mean, oh my God.
They're for real.
I'm just imagining.
Whoa, get a load of those whirling wheels.
This is so ridiculous.
Those wheels were really whirling. Check it.
I want to see a religious person walk down the street with like a shirt with like the whirling wheels on it.
Right?
Like, oh, you really did read the book. Book. Yeah. Good on you, man.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Each of the cherubim had 4 faces. One face was that of a cherub. The second, the face of a human being. The third, the face of a lion. And the fourth, the face of an eagle. So we're missing an ox.
That was, like they added the human being, or something.
No, they added the cherub.
They had the cherub. Yeah.
They added the cherub. So they've got man and cherub.
But they did away with, so that we've changed the image of the angel here.
Yeah, because we're missing the ox.
Yeah.
Then the cherubim rose upward. These were the living creatures I had seen by the Kebar River.
Not quite.
I know.
Not quite. It's close.
It's very close.
Really fucking close.
Yep. But the statue changed.
Yeah.
took on a new face and dropped one.
Right.
I'd be looking around.
Yeah, that's definitely...
Where'd that face go?
That's different. I bet that's a contradiction.
I bet it is. When the cherubim moved, the wheels beside them moved. And when the cherubim spread their wings to rise from the ground, the wheels did not leave their side.
Okay.
How did they have room to spread out their wings to fly?
I'd really have to see this in action to figure this out. I don't know.
I don't understand.
I'm not having an easy time with this visualization here.
I'm not either. And you know what? Making things have room for wings to spread out is a common art problem. The most recent example, you didn't see this, but I did. The movie Damsel on Netflix, starring Millie Bobby Brown, who played Enola Holmes.
Okay.
In the Enola Holmes series.
Right.
Sherlock's younger sister.
Yeah.
Anyway, really cute series based on a really cute book. But the movie Damsel, it was a 3-star movie at best. That's me being really generous.
Okay.
And inside the cave is a dragon, voiced by the actress who plays, what's her name? Like, Amasarala. I can't remember how to say her name, but in The Expanse.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I do.
She was in
charge of the moon and stuff like that.
The Earth and the Moon, yeah.
Right.
She has a very distinguishable voice, which I adore, and she voiced the dragon, and that was great.
Got it.
And the art of the dragon was great. Like, actually, a lot of the art in the movie that I'm talking about, Damsel, was great. But when the dragon spread out its wings and flew through the corridors, how? They're inside a motherfucking mountain.
Yeah, that doesn't work out very well.
No, it doesn't. Like, the dynamics, the science doesn't work. And I understand that this is fantasy, not science, but we have to be able to see how it works if you're going to do something like this.
Sure.
And so these cherubim flying, that means they're flapping their wings, right?
Yes.
How is this happening? The science ain't sciencing. Okay?
I don't know.
I mean, beyond the fact that they're fucking angels in the first place with multiple faces.
Right.
But still, don't bring this magical thing and then say, and they were flying and there was plenty of room for their fucking wings.
We're already talking about a god. So, I mean,
I know. I expect too much.
Right.
I expect too much.
Yeah, especially from thousands of years ago.
It's just they are asking too much, I think. I don't expect too much. They are asking too much.
Okay.
When the cherubim stood still, they also stood still. And when the cherubim rose, they rose with them. Because the wheels, that is.
Right.
Because the spirit of the living creatures was in them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Then the glory of the Lord departed from over the threshold of the temple and stopped above the cherubim.
Okay.
I wonder what's going to happen.
I wonder.
While I watched, the cherubim spread their wings and rose from the ground. And as they went, the wheels went with them.
Did they go with, like, we just said that like 5 times in a row?
No, the wheels keep going wherever they go. If they go, that's where the wheels do. Okay?
Right.
They stopped at the entrance of the east gate of the Lord's house, and the glory of God was above them. So the glory completely left the temple.
Yeah, and it's above the cherubim.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's with the throne now. Bye.
Okay.
So what we're seeing is that the glory of the Lord is back with the Lordy Lord on the throne, is what I'm getting out of this.
Okay.
He had dropped off his glory for safekeeping, and he's like, give me my glory back.
Right.
Like, glory hole? No, that's something different.
Yes.
That's something different. These were the living creatures I had seen beneath the God of Israel by the Kebar River. And I realized that they were cherubim. So
why did he realize that? What reference does he have to realize that they are cherubim?
Right. That's what I would like to know.
I'm just curious. Like,
and I realized for no reason whatsoever that these are some classification of angel.
Right.
What? Why? Maybe it's some classification of snake.
Right.
Maybe it's some classification of fever dream.
Right. Yeah. Like, you have no fucking reference for what an angel looks like.
So weird.
Or that they even exist.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
moreover.
Right.
Yeah. Each had 4 faces and 4 wings, and under their wings was what looked like human hands.
Was it? Man.
Mm-hmm. Their faces had the same appearances as those I had seen by the Kebar River, except for that they had cherubim faces instead of ox faces, so they weren't actually the same. They were actually different.
Yeah.
Each one went straight ahead. The end.
What a stupid chapter.
Yeah.
Like, we just repeated over and over and over and over what these stupid fucking angels look like.
Mm-hmm.
And
from chapter 1.
Yeah.
But different.
Only it wasn't even correct.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And, okay, so God left the temple, and there were cherubim, and they fucking burnt shit, and...
What I would be curious to know is, so are these different angel people guys than Ezekiel saw in chapter 1? Or was it a mistranslation / error?
I mean, I think that's something we'll have to look up on the Q&A.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, well, maybe. I think you already did the research since we're doing this late, so...
Yeah, I'll have to get into that another time.
Okay.
But I am curious, and maybe it'll come up in contradictions, too.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll have to talk about it at some point, at any rate.
Right. Okay, well, that was I'm sorry. Oh, wow.
Wow.
That was back. Ezekiel.
It was EZK, my friend.
Chapter 10.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that tomorrow is Saturday, and we'll be getting into...
Q&A Saturday.
And then on Sunday this week, we'll be doing our...
Sacrilegious Book Club.
And then I will get the weekly wrap-up out, and we will be back on Monday with...
Ezekiel, chapter 11.
All right, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Wife!
Guess what we're doing today?
Well, it is still barely Saturday, so that means that today we're doing our...
Q&A Saturday.
And what are we Qing and Aing today?
We are going to go over chapter 8 of Ezekiel, where the women were mourning the god Tammuz. And then we are going over chapter 10 of Ezekiel, where there were 4 different faces on the cherubim thing that Ezekiel saw. But in the first chapter, he saw one set of faces. And in chapter 10, he saw the same set of faces, but with a difference. And what? And
right.
Yeah, so we're going to go over those.
So those are the only questions we had on 6 through 10 then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good. Before we hop into this episode then, I do want to mention again that we are doing a drive for Patreon right now. We're trying to get up to a $400 per month level to help drive our podcast forward and help kind of get the word out about us. So we would definitely appreciate you heading over to our website at sacrilegiousdiscourse.com. Click on the link at the very top where we've got the Patreon drive going, and then go over and subscribe for as little as $2 per... No, actually, we have a $1 per month level now. Mm-hmm. So $1 a month gets you to help us move that goal forward for us and get us where we need to be. We also have advertising tiers on there, so check that out as well. That being said, let's go ahead and get into our episode.
Okie dokie. All right, so we are going to talk first about one of the visions that Ezekiel had.
Okay.
You remember how first he went into the building and he saw through the building that there were people,
that little peephole that God created or whatever.
So that was where he was seeing them use Egyptian style worshiping.
Okay.
Okay, and then the next vision that he had was of Phoenician style worshiping, where the women were weeping for Tammuz.
Okay.
And then the last one was Persian style worshiping, where they were worshiping the sun.
Oh, so they're literally calling... I didn't realize that when we were reading the chapters, but they're literally calling out specific other gods that they were worshiping and listing them off, essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I had to glean that from the notes. I pulled that out from the research because it wasn't explicit what gods they were worshiping. It was just
It was in the practices that they were doing, right. The way they were doing it.
Exactly.
Apparently.
They named the practices, but not what gods and cultures were associated with
Got it.
So that's why I just wanted to elucidate that a little bit.
Yeah.
And say, so these were the cultures that they were borrowing from.
Okay.
But we know about their Egyptian stuff. We know about the worshiping the god. I mean, everybody knows about, worshiping Ra kind of thing.
Sure.
So we're not going to get into that too much. What I really want to talk about, though, because I had never heard of this before, was the middle one, the Phoenician worship, where the women were weeping for Tammuz.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And that specifically is stated in verse 14 of chapter 8. Then he brought me to the entrance of the north gate of the house of the Lord, and I saw women sitting there mourning the god Tammuz. Okay?
Yeah.
So why were they mourning? And who is Tammuz? And what the fuck is happening there, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so an ancient ritual of Sumerian origin, the weeping is to commemorate the death of seasonal fertility. So like the end of spring.
Okay.
And the cult stresses the mourning aspect of it. Okay? It's known to the Sumerians actually as Dumazid, the shepherd, instead of Tammuz, but it's the same guy.
I think it's interesting, though, that Sumerian gods survived this long. Like, that's something that and we know that, much of the Bible is based on, in Old Testament, and was based on older gods and older stories. So, I mean, it's not completely surprising, but to actually have a specific practice being mentioned in the Old Testament is kind of amazing.
Oh, it gets even better because he was known before that to the Canaanites as Adon.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
And, that's where you get into the Adonai.
Right. Yeah.
Like Lord, God, holy, right? Yeah. So Tammuz was an ancient Mesopotamian deity associated with agriculture and shepherds, who was also the first and primary consort of the goddess Inanna. We've talked about her before.
Right.
She was later known as Ishtar.
Right. I remember we did a kind of a deep dive on that.
We did, because she was named as the Queen of Heaven. And we were like, whom's the fuck is the Queen of Heaven? And that's why we looked her up. We didn't look her up. We looked up who is the Queen of Heaven.
Sure.
So, and she was at one time God's wife, God's consort.
So that's also where like the Asherah poles and stuff like that comes from?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That is correct.
Because that's all the same, essentially, same realm of worship and whatnot.
It's the same goddess in various incarnations, depending on which region was worshiping her. But yes, that is correct.
Okay.
So in the story, Inanna is who we're talking about, perceives that Dumazid, which is the, what's his name? Tammuz? Same guy. Okay.
Right.
So Inanna perceives that Dumazid has failed to properly mourn her death. So when she returns from the underworld, she allows the Gala demons to drag him down to the underworld as her replacement.
Okay.
I don't know what Gala demons are, but they're under her control, and she makes them take him down. Okay.
Yeah. That could be a whole nother rabbit hole, possibly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had to really restrain myself here because when we start getting into these gods, the Mesopotamian and the Canaanite things and the Sumerian things, they develop into the Greek and then the Roman gods that we're familiar with today.
Okay.
So I had to really restrain myself.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Inanna later regrets this decision, and she decrees that Dumazid will spend half of the year in the underworld, but the other half of the year with her.
Oh, okay.
While his sister Geshtinana stays in the underworld in his place those other 6 months.
I see.
Thus resulting in the cycle of the seasons.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now, in the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah, which also has a lot of biblical references.
Tammuz, again, the same dude as Dumazed.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Tammuz was the lover of Ishtar's youth. And Ishtar, again, is Inanna.
Okay. Yeah.
Who was turned into an Alalu bird with a broken wing.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what happened to him in that story.
Got it.
So there's different stories of him with different names and different end results of his activities.
Okay.
So sometimes he's dragged to the underworld. Sometimes he's turned into a bird with a broken wing. Just depends, again, on what region it is and what's happening.
Sure.
Okay. So Dumazid was associated with fertility and vegetation, and the hot, dry summers of Mesopotamia were believed to be caused by Dumazid's yearly death.
Okay. Yeah.
So as he would go to the underworld, so would go all of the living plantation with him.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
During the month in midsummer bearing his name, which is July,
Okay.
FYI, people all across Mesopotamia would engage in public ritual mourning for him.
Okay.
So they're sad because their plants are all dying, which means, not only is our agriculture coming to an end for the season, but now we about to freeze to death.
Sure.
And that fucking sucks.
Right.
Right? The cult of Dumazid later spread to the Levant and to Greece, where he became known under the West Semitic name Adonis.
Okay.
Okay.
I wondered. It kind of sounded like that
When
might
I
be
said
what it is.
Adon. Yeah. And I did mention this on Friday too, that he is Adonis in a previous incarnation.
Right.
The cult of Ishtar and Tammuz may have been introduced to the kingdom of Judah during the reign of Manasseh, which I find very interesting because to have been brought in, that means that it wasn't dead yet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So these stories kept being there and surrounding them, the Israelites, and some kings let the stories prevail while others tried to, stomp out the fires of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time, how these stories are like kind of like an undercurrent in the Bible. Like they, not specifically the stories, but the reference to these other gods and these other things that are happening with regard to other gods. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. In Greek mythology, Adonis was the mortal lover of the goddesses Aphrodite and Persephone, he was famous for having achieved immortality. He was widely considered to be the ideal of male beauty in classical antiquity. So when we see a lot of Greek statues, those are generally statues of Adonis.
Got it.
That perfect male figure is Adonis.
Sure.
And so that's what we mean today if we say, wow, he's a real Adonis.
Right.
Like, I don't think people our age and younger, like we're in our 40s, I don't think
we don't
people
really use it
40 and younger would use
Right.
it. But I've
it was a
heard
term
it before.
that's been thrown around at, recent generations anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So younger people wouldn't know what the fuck we're talking about, but younger people probably aren't listening. And if they are, well, now you learned a thing. So, wow, what an Adonis.
Right.
Yeah. Beautiful man.
Maybe you can start making a thing again,
Oh my God, I'm going to make fetch happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So the myth goes that Adonis was gored by a wild boar during a hunting trip.
Gotta watch out for those wild boars.
I mean, if you talk to John Knight, Cody Johnston.
Yeah.
Of some more news and even more news.
Right.
Yeah, he's like terrified of wild boars. Yeah, that's funny. So he died from this goring in Aphrodite's arms as she wept.
Yeah.
His blood mingled with her tears, and that became the anemone flower.
Oh, okay.
So that's the myth behind where the anemone comes from.
Got it. Okay.
Aphrodite declared the Adonia festival, so Adonis,
Right.
Adonai,
Yep.
Adonia festival,
Yep.
to commemorate his tragic death, which was celebrated by women every year in midsummer. During this festival, Greek women would plant so-called gardens of Adonis, small pots containing fast-growing plants, which they would set on top of their houses in the hot sun. The plants would sprout, but then would soon wither and die. Because if you leave a plant in the sun, that's what fucking happens, right?
Yeah.
Then the women would mourn, quote unquote,
That's
right?
kind of cool, actually.
The death of Adonis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, I do too. It's kind of a neat, just kind of appreciating the passing of the seasons,
Right. Yeah.
I don't really see a problem with it per se.
You know what? I mean, I don't see a lot of problems in a lot of religious practices if they are not harmful. Like in a lot of the more pagan traditions were more based around culture seasons and growth
weather,
and death and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, like it was very pertinent to being a human.
Right,
and
exactly. Survival in the wilds.
I don't mind those as much as what we've turned religion into in the modern age.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. Same. So the women would mourn the death of Adonis, tearing their clothes and beating their breasts in a public display of grief. So I'm sure
much like we hear about them doing for whatever reasons in the Bible all the time.
Yeah. So that just like fit right in.
Yeah.
In late 19th and early 20th century scholarship of religion, so kind of recently, Adonis was widely seen as a prime example of the archetypical dying and rising god.
Okay.
So, you know, a Jesus type figure.
Sure.
Because he did come back.
Right,
you know,
right.
From
every
the
season
underworld.
or whatever. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
The name Adonis is related to Adonai, one of the titles used to refer to the God of the Hebrew Bible, and still used in Judaism to the present day. The Syrian name for Adonis is Gaius.
Okay.
Which I just think is cool.
Yeah.
Other adaptations of Adon in various civilizations include the Canaanite god Baal, who was worshipped in Ugarit.
Really?
And, of course, Tammuz or Dumuzi, which that's how we started this piece here.
You said one of the names for this Adonis or whatever is a name. What was the name? Like it was a name for God, right? In the Bible?
Adonai?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a name for God that they still use, right?
What I literally just said.
Yeah. No, I was going back. Sorry, I'm just recapping because apparently this same God is related to Baal, which is very interesting because
we know Baal.
It's almost their direct, rival, but these names are the same, which makes me think that a lot of this was just competing the same God competing against different factions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all the same sport. It's just different teams representing the same sport.
Right. Yeah.
So, he's also known as Tammuz or Dumuzi, meaning July, which I already said.
Yep.
To the Babylonians. And then in Egypt, he was Osiris, the god of resurrection. Yeah. So that's a whole different bag of worms.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, it sounds very relevant, like in a roundabout way, sounds very relevant to Christianity.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was like,
or at least heavily influenced the ideas behind Christianity.
Right, exactly. So. Or was happening at the same time so that all the names are confused as to who was what.
Well, much of this, with regard to Christianity, much of this happened prior to Christianity.
Right.
Which leads me to believe that it probably influenced it heavily.
Sure.
At least some of the resurrection ideas and the, things like that. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So then, so that was that cue that we had.
Yeah.
And I would consider that very aid.
Right.
So our next cue comes from chapter 10, verse 14. Each of the cherubim had 4 faces. One face was that of a cherub, not an ox.
Right.
The second, the face of a human being. Okay, that one tracks.
Yeah.
The third, the face of a lion. Okay. And the fourth, the face of an eagle. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, that was in chapter 1. He described the same thing, except he said ox instead of cherub. Yeah. So what the fuck, right?
Right.
So I did as much research as I could, and there is no consensus. Now, there are 3 suggestions that all result in...
Okay.
So here are the 3 possibilities, and you tell me which you think.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
All right.
So some explain the discrepancy by saying that these beings are cherubim, and each face is actually the face of a cherub, so there was simply some unknown reason why the substitute word was used. That's like the most apology.
That sounds so fucking generic.
It's not ours to know.
Right.
Don't worry about it. Stop questioning.
Yeah, that doesn't even come close to gleaning an answer for that.
Yeah, no, but I want to know.
Right.
You put this in front of me, I want to know.
Yeah, and you described it 2 different ways.
Yeah.
So
what does that mean?
Why? Why? A human being described it 2 different ways.
Yeah.
So why?
Why?
Just,
and then told me it was the same being.
Right.
Like the living creatures is what he called them.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, so are there two types? Because he's saying this is the same guys.
Sure.
So I'm like, which one is it?
Right.
Okay, so that's one explanation.
Okay.
And I do not accept that one.
Sure.
Okay. Some explain this by saying that the face of a cherub is something like the face of an ox.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah, he just didn't see it right the first time.
I don't know about that.
Because cherub is what the guy basically is. Right? Like, he's a four-faced angel guy. Right?
Right.
So I'm like, he's an angel guy, and one of his faces
is an ox.
Is an angel? What?
Right.
That doesn't make any fucking sense. So I don't accept that answer either.
Yeah.
And then some explain this by the error of a scribe who copied the text.
And that's probably the most likely.
With that one.
Yeah. But don't tell me it's not that one, because look, it's either that or, we have to throw this whole thing out the window.
Yeah.
Because it's hypothetically Ezekiel writing this whole book, right?
We're pretending.
We're pretending like that's the case.
Yes. In canon,
sure.
He wrote the whole fucking thing.
In canon, he wrote the whole fucking thing. The same motherfucker described the same entity almost to a T exactly the same way, except for one small fact.
Yeah, he changed the cherub he changed the ox to a cherub.
And it turns out that one small fact was a pretty big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Because that's ox and cherub are what? No.
Now I will say that the word cherub comes from the same root as the word caribou. Oh. Which I found interesting.
Okay.
But I didn't see anybody else make that connection that isn't ox and caribou from the same family.
I could have accepted something along those lines.
But I didn't see that offered up.
Right.
I made that connection.
Sure.
Like, and I've mentioned it more than once and stumbled across it more than once that it came from that same root word.
Right. I'm going to lean more that this is a copy and error.
Yeah.
Because that tracks better in my mind. So,
and it might even have involved that similarity in term.
Sure. Possibly, yeah, because the words might have even been close like how they look
in the original Hebrew or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, but regardless of how the error came about, it was an error nonetheless.
Okay.
I'm gonna call that one aid, but with a question mark and an asterisk and a fuck you.
So once again, the Bible is not infallible.
Correct.
This is not the word of God.
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
And also, because we even are sitting here with these questions about this ridiculous book, God is a dick.
There you go. Yeah. I mean,
accepting that there is one, which
there's not.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, was that all we had to cover today?
That is all we had to cover today.
Okay. Well,
consider yourself 8 off.
That was our Q&A for chapters, Ezekiel chapters 6 through 10. And, this is Saturday, which means that tomorrow is Sunday. So we'll be back tomorrow with our
Sacrilegious Book Club.
Right. And then I will get our weekly wrap up out. And then we'll be back on Monday if you want. There's 2 things that could happen that day. You could listen to our episode, which will be...
Well, on Sunday Sunday night we'll be recording Ezekiel chapter 11.
Which will come out on Monday.
Which will come out Monday morning.
And then that evening...
we will be recording Ezekiel chapter 12 in a live...
On Twitch and on YouTube. And that is done at 10:30 on Mondays. So the links are in the show notes here. Go down there and click on the link for our YouTube or Twitch page. And subscribe and join us on that live. We'd love to see you there.
Yes, we would.
All right. I think that's all we got now, so we'll see you guys later.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Guess what we're doing now?
Well, it is late on Sunday, but it is still Sunday, so that means that we are doing our...
Sacrilegious Book Club. You messed me up.
If we can get our shit together, yeah.
You were like, blah, 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 and I was like, what?
Yeah,
what?
sorry.
Yeah, it's Sunday.
It's still Sunday.
And that's Book Club
currently.
day.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what are we book clubbing today?
We are still reading A Treasury of Jewish Folklore, Stories, Traditions, Legends, Humor, Wisdom, and Folk Songs of the Jewish People, edited by Nathan Ozubel. We finished Part 1, Jewish Salt, Part 2, Heroes, Part 3, The Human Comedy, and we are currently in Part 4, Tales and Legends. And today we'll be reading from Chapter 4, Folk Tales, which we started last time, and so we're finishing up this time, and we'll be reading Chapter 5, Demon Tales.
Ooh, Demon Tales, huh?
I know, right?
All right. That sounds like fun. All right. You ready to get into this?
Sure as fuck am.
Well, let's do it.
Okie dokie. All right, husband, do you remember the last time that we started reading from this book, what we were doing in Folk Tales?
Not even a little bit.
I mean, it was over 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, I can barely usually remember what we did the last episode. So
right,
you're asking me to remember 2 weeks ago, and I'm like,
It was Alexander the Great.
Oh, yeah. I do. Now that you mention it, remember going over that. Yes.
Yeah. So that was all the first half of Folk Tales.
Okay.
So I thought we would do the other half today, but I really only liked a couple of the stories from this section.
Okay.
So that's why I went on into demons.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's finish up Folk Tales here, okay?
Sure.
So we are going to read The Test of a True Friend on page 570.
Okay.
What do you think is the test of a true friend?
That they always know your name.
What?
Where they always know your name.
No, that's a bar.
Oh, shit.
That's a bar.
Okay. All right.
Have you ever heard the adage, like, your friends know where the bodies are?
Right,
Or,
yeah.
you could call them and they wouldn't ask any questions. They'd help you bury the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of is maybe where that came from.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting.
Got it.
All right, here we
Yeah.
go. Ready?
I'm ready.
When the time came for Arvis, the philosopher, to die, he called his son to his bedside and asked, "Tell me, my son, how many friends have you made in your life?" "I have about 100 friends," answered the son proudly.
Damn, that's a lot.
Yeah, he was clearly on Facebook
Right,
and counting
yeah.
all his social media pals.
Yeah, like people he bumped into down the street, you know?
Yeah, dad's about to set him straight. Like, yeah,
Right.
actually, that's not how friendship works. "Whatever you do," Arvis admonished his son, "don't believe a man is your friend until you've proved him. Reflect that I, who am so much older than you, have found only half a friend in all my life. Isn't it rash of you to say that you have 100? Therefore, my son, go and prove your friends and find out if you have one real friend among them."
Okay. Yeah.
So
there's going to be some test he's going to put to his friends.
Oh,
huh?
yes.
Okay.
I'm about to tell you what that test is.
Got it.
Okay. "How shall I prove them?" the son asked. Then Arvis instructed his son, "Slaughter a calf, cut it up in pieces, and put them in a sack. Also, dip the sack itself in blood. Then carry it to one of your friends and say to him, 'Dear friend, help me, I implore you. I've just killed a man.
Oh.
Please bury him in your yard and nobody need ever know about it. In this way, you will save me from disaster.'"
Right. Yeah.
Yikes.
Okay.
The son did as his father counseled, and bringing the sack to a friend, he pleaded with him to help conceal it. His friend replied, "Ugh, remove that carcass from my house and be off with you. Bury it elsewhere yourself and suffer the consequences of your crime.
That's not a friend.
Furthermore, never darken my threshold again."
Although I gotta stop you here though.
Right?
A friend, if you don't question at least, like, what the fuck did you do, man?
Right.
What happened? You have to at least question.
Yeah.
You can't just do it blindly. Because you might be helping a fucking serial, like this friend hasn't tested you with the same method.
Right.
So how the fuck do they know what you're up to?
I think the fact that this guy didn't tattle on him, but was just like, "Look, I'm going to pretend this never happened, but no, I'm not going to help you, go away." That's a little bit friendly.
I think people generally just don't like to be involved with other things.
Okay, that's true. That is
They're like,
true.
Get that out of me. I don't even want to know that happened.
But let me ask you this. Wouldn't you be afraid for the rest of your life that this guy that you just found out in your mind is a murderer?
Right.
Wouldn't you be afraid that he would come to you and kill you because you know his
Right,
dirty secret
right.
and you wouldn't help him?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like,
Right.
you have a choice to make there. Live the rest of your life in fear that a murderer is going to get you, or go ahead and play friend-like and maybe find out what happened while you're helping
Well,
him.
we don't know. Maybe he came back like an hour later and was like, just kidding, man. That was just a calf.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
Okay.
But
all right.
Maybe.
Right.
I don't think he did, though.
Okay.
So the son went to a second friend and to a third, and even to the very last, the 100th one. And each one drove him away. He then returned to his father and told him all that had happened. There's nothing unusual in your experience, his father comforted him. When a man prospers, his friends are numerous, and when he falls on evil days, they vanish like the mist.
Yeah.
Therefore, my son, do as I now bid you. Go and call on that man who I have told you is only half a friend of mine, and hear what his answer is.
Okay.
The son went to call on his father's so-called half-friend.
Right.
He begged him to bury the bloody sack secretly. His father's half-friend answered, come quickly into the house so that the neighbors won't see you. He also sent away his wife and children, and when they were alone, he began to dig a grave in his yard. When the grave was dug, the son of Arvis, the philosopher, revealed the true contents of the sack.
Okay.
But he waited till the fucking grave was, dug up.
Yeah, right.
When you have oh, no, man, you ain't gotta, no, that's cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, just the fact that you're willing to do it. That's
Yeah,
cool. Right.
yeah. You are the friend my father claimed you
Sure.
to be.
Yeah, I
Much
definitely would not make
appreciation.
anybody dig a hole.
Right? Good day to you, sir.
Right.
I came only to prove you as a friend of my father, and I know now that you are a true friend, he cried. The son then returned to his father and told him of the loving kindness his half-friend had shown him.
Yeah.
But tell me, father, he asked, do you think there is anybody in the world lucky enough to have a whole friend? I have never in my life seen a whole friend, his father answered, but I've heard a story about one. Tell me about it, begged the son.
I'm curious, because, what the fuck is a whole friend?
Right? His father then told him the story of true friendship.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty decent story,
Okay.
honestly.
Yeah.
Once there were two young merchants. One lived in Egypt, the other in Babylon. They had never met, but they knew of each other through the reports of travelers. They also sent each other merchandise with messengers. Once, the merchant who lived in Babylon went to Egypt with a caravan of merchandise. When the Egyptian merchant heard that his friend was coming, he hurried out to welcome him, embraced him, and brought him to his home. He showed him all his treasure and had all of his manservants and women servants wait upon him.
Okay.
All his slaves.
Yeah.
He's like,
Right.
do this man good.
Yeah, it's rough work, making all those people do those things.
On the 8th day of his stay, the merchant of Babylon fell ill. His anxious friend then called the most eminent physicians of Egypt to examine the sick man. They examined him thoroughly, but they found no sign of illness. So they deduced that he was lovesick.
Okay.
Apparently being lovesick makes you as sick as if you were flu sick.
Okay.
Yeah. You see where this is going, right?
Is he going to offer his fucking wife or something?
Close.
Daughter?
Yes, close. Tell me, who is the woman you love? His friend asked. Call all the women of your household, and I will point out to you the woman my heart desires. The merchant of Egypt showed all his female servants, but the sick man answered, no, she is not among them. Then the Egyptian showed him a young girl, an orphan, who he himself had raised and whom he had planned to marry because he was without a wife. The way you just adopt an orphan and wait for them to grow up so that you can then fucking marry them, right? The way we all do, right? Yeah. When the sick man saw this child, this girl child, this orphan with no parents and nobody to protect her, this kidnapped little girl, child, kid, sorry, it just says when he saw her.
Yeah.
I had to just...
You embellished.
Yeah. He exclaimed, behold, this little person, this child, this not of age thing, this girl holds the power of life and death over me. He fell in love with a little kid.
Right.
That's gross. When the Egyptian heard this, he said to his friend, take her and may she be a good wife to you. So he just,
gives up somebody that's not actually blood relation and that...
You can fuck this kid. Yeah. I was going to fuck this kid, but I really like you, so you can fuck this kid.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not pedophilia if you marry her.
Or if you're alive 2,000 years ago.
Right. Or if you're alive today and have the money to get the laws changed so that you can marry kids in some states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even have to be changed. There's laws that are standing in states that you can marry people underage. So.
Yep. And that's exciting for all children everywhere.
Yeah.
He gave the bride, the kidnapped orphan child, a dowry and many gifts. Soon after, the sick man became well again. Yeah, I bet he did. And journeyed back to Babylon with his bride, his child.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that part really bothered me.
Right. No, I thought you said this was you like this story, and I'm like, what?
I like the story except for the fact that there's, pedophilia in it.
Right.
Take that out.
Except for that.
Right? Like, let's say that he just fell in love with
a woman.
A woman, right?
Okay.
That lived in...
But even if he fell in love with a woman, it would, like, a true love story would have to be a mutual love story. And this is not a mutual love story.
That's what I was going to say. And let's say that she loved him in return.
Okay.
Like, let's say that they fell in love and he was like, but I know that this is, somebody in your household, so I couldn't possibly tell you this.
So if we adapted this for a time frame in history where people aren't sick fucks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where my mind is going to go with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Years later, the wheel of fortune turned, and the merchant of Egypt lost all his possessions and became destitute. In his despair, he thought of his friend and said to himself, I will go to my friend in Babylon, for he will surely help me.
Yeah.
When he arrived in Babylon, the merchant of Egypt was footsore from his long journey. His shoes were torn and his garments were in tatters. He trembled for fear that his friend would not recognize him and that the servants would drive him away as a mere beggar.
Yeah.
He spent the first night in an abandoned house at the city's outskirts. As he looked out on the street, he saw two men quarreling. One of the two drew a knife and stabbed the other to death, and then he ran away.
Oh,
this
shit.
escalated quickly,
Damn.
right?
Yeah.
A multitude soon gathered and began to hunt for the murderer. When they entered the abandoned house, there they found the merchant from Egypt.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you know who murdered this man? They asked him. Now the destitute man felt sick of life, and the thought of death appeared sweet by comparison. So he cried, I am the murderer. He went ahead and took the rap.
Because it was his friend who...
He doesn't know if it was his friend or not.
Okay.
He just was like, I might as well be dead. Like, I'm so poor. And
But he's right there near his friend.
I know.
What
But
the
he's
fuck?
like, whatevs.
Okay.
But he was also embarrassed and ashamed. He thought his friend might not recognize him. So even though he was planning to go to his friend, he was still iffy even about that.
Okay.
So he was like, fuck it. Go ahead and just hang me for murder.
Okay.
So that the real murderer can go free.
I guess.
Because we love a murderer.
Somebody
on the loose,
you don't even know who the fuck it is.
Right? Thereupon they took him and cast him into a dungeon. The next morning, the judges sentenced him to be hanged. All the inhabitants of the city came to watch the execution because that's fun. That's entertainment.
Yeah.
Among them was his friend, the merchant from Babylon, who indeed recognized him. Even so,
Yeah.
You are hanging an innocent man, he cried out to the judges. He didn't even know if he was innocent or not. He's just like, that's my friend that gave me my child bride. So,
okay.
Know that not he, but I am the murderer.
Oh, damn.
God damn, that is a full friend, right?
I mean, yeah.
The judges then ordered the stranger released and substituted the merchant of Babylon for him on the scaffold. Now, among the great multitude gathered around the scaffold stood the real murderer. The spectacle of such true devotion between two friends stirred him deeply. He said to himself, if I permit an innocent man to die for my crime, I shall receive a terrible punishment in the next world.
Bullshit.
I know.
Oh, sorry. Did I? Yeah.
Did you cough bullshit just then? So he cried to the judges, release this man. Neither he nor his friend has committed this murder. The first took upon himself the blame because he found life insufferable. I don't know why he knew that. Yeah, why? But somehow he knew that.
Maybe they were allowed to talk on the scaffolding or whatever.
Yeah, let's go with that.
As long as we're say your last things here. So
as long as we're rewriting the story, let's do it.
Yeah.
The other took upon himself the blame because of true friendship for the first. Know that I am the real murderer. Hang me and do justice.
I feel like back then they just hung all three of them and been done with it.
Like all y'all are just
like
weird.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You got. We're gonna hang y'all today.
Yeah. So, yay, 3 for the price of 1. And the crowd cheered because they were so excited that, this is their Facebook of the time.
You would think that an event like that would make people pause and be like, hey, maybe the death penalty isn't the best option.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Maybe since the murderer came clean himself and showed that his heart could be moved, maybe instead let's rehabilitate him.
Right.
Because we don't even know why he murdered the other guy.
Yeah.
Maybe the other guy, raped his daughter or something.
Right.
Not that I'm advocating murder, but I'm just saying maybe there were reasons that we don't know about.
There wasn't even a fucking trial. They just decided
they were like, you're a murderer. We're going to hang you.
Right.
Retribution and whatnot. All right. This is the other story I'm going to read from this section. It's called The 3 Daughters, or The Evil of Tale-Bearing.
Okay.
And it's on page 583.
All right.
Okay. Once upon a time, there lived a pious man who had 3 daughters. The first one was a thief. The second was a sluggard. And the third was a liar who never spoke the truth and who slandered people whenever she had an opportunity. One day, a pious man who had 3 sons came to the city and said, "You have 3 daughters and I have 3 sons. Let us make a match between them." Because that's how we do it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But the father of the girls said, "Let me alone. My daughters are not good enough for your sons, for each one has a vice."
Oh my God.
At least he was honest.
I'm thinking this is awful. Like, you are literally, okay, first of all, you're doing something that you shouldn't. I mean, okay, look, I know the times were different.
And culture,
and that's what
because
happened
they
back
still
then.
do that today.
Right. But how you're giving away a human being, and then you're like, and my own children, I'm going to say aren't good enough
to even be given away.
Like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
You're their dad.
Yeah.
Fuck off, man.
I mean, honestly, if you have 3 kids, one of them is a liar, one's a thief, and one's a lazy ass, why?
Yeah, it seems like it might have, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right?
How pious were you, my good sir?
Right.
The father of the boys asked, "What are their vices?" And the other replied, "One's a thief, the second is a sluggard, and the third is a liar." The father of the boys asked, "Have they no other vices than these? If so, I will cure them. Leave it to me." So they were betrothed, and he took the damsels with him and married them to his sons. As soon as the weddings were over, he gave to the thief the keys to all his money and satisfied her greed so that she had no reason to steal.
Okay.
To the second, he gave men servants and maid servants in plenty so that she should have nothing to do. Go ahead, be lazy, it's fine. As to the third, he fulfilled all her wishes so that she should not tell lies or slander anybody. And whenever the father-in-law left her house, he embraced and kissed her, for he hoped that by being good to her, he would cure her of her evil quality, and she would not carry on slander anymore. Talking shit about people.
All right, so they get rewarded for bad behavior?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I'm okay. All right. Anyway, I'm listening still. I'm trying to I'm assuming a lot of these stories there's some sort of
a moral
message or a moral.
Right.
And thus far, we're shooting pretty low on these stories here today.
No, it's great. It's great. One day, the father came to see how his daughters were getting on. So he went to the first one and asked her how she was getting along with her husband and how she was treated by her parents-in-law. She replied, "I thank you so much, Father, for having given me in marriage to this man, for I have everything my heart desires. And moreover, I have all the keys in my hand so that I do not have to steal." It's almost like she's saying, it's a good thing that my husband has money. You obviously didn't have enough, and that's why I had to steal.
Right.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Sorry I wasn't rich?
Yeah.
Jesus. Guess what? You can be not rich and also not be a thief.
Right.
Yeah. We're not rich and we're not thieves. How about that? Isn't that neat how that works out?
That's pretty neat, yeah.
Then he went to the sluggard and asked her.
Hold on. I've taken a pen from work.
Yeah, you did.
I want to be completely honest here.
No, I've done the same multiple times.
Yeah.
Actually, you took a roll of toilet paper from work.
I did during the pandemic. Yeah.
You did. You did. And sometimes you still tape from work.
Occasionally.
Yeah. I took paper from work one time, an entire package of paper. Not like a box,
Right.
but definitely an unopened paper package. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes you need printing paper, you know?
Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do,
Right.
and a company ain't going to miss it.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, he went to the lazy ass and asked her how she was getting on. And she also said, I am so thankful to you, Father, for having brought me here, for I need not lift a hand. I have men servants and maid servants in plenty, and my husband and parents-in-law all treat me very well. See, it pays to be lazy. You just wait around.
Yeah, I guess.
Everything works itself out.
Right.
I mean, that's what I always like to believe, because I am a lazy ass. What? Then he came to the daughter who told lies to ask her how she was getting along. And she said, you are a fine father. I thought you gave me one husband, but it seems you gave me two, the father and the son. For no sooner does my husband leave the house than my father-in-law comes in and kisses me and hugs me and wants me to do his will. Remember, slanderer?
Oh, yeah.
Dear father, if you do not believe it, come tomorrow morning and you will see it is true. Next morning, the father came and she put him in a room where he could see what was going on. Her father-in-law came as usual and kissed her and embraced her and said to her, my dear daughter-in-law, how are you getting along? Is there anything you want? He did all this with the good intention of curing her of her vice, as we said.
Right.
But her father, who saw it, grew furious and rushed out of his chamber and killed him.
Oh, my God.
Then he tried to get away, but when her two brothers-in-law came home and found their father lying dead, they killed their father-in-law.
Oh, my God.
Then the slanderer began to shout, murder, murder, and they understood it was through her that the tragedy had occurred.
Oh, my God.
So they killed her too.
Holy shit.
And thus, through slander, 3 persons lost their lives.
Wow.
Therefore, did Rabbi Huna say, the sin of the evil tongue is greater than the 3 sins, murder, adultery, and theft combined.
Oh, that's what this whole story was about? Just
Sure.
About lying sucks.
You wanted a moral.
Yeah.
It's not just lying, it's like the slandering of people.
Sure.
So,
No, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that finishes folk tales. We're done with that chapter.
Okay.
Now we're going to read about demon tales. Okay.
All right.
There's a really cool intro where we get to learn about Lilith. And
Okay.
we did a section on her before in Patreon.
Yes,
so I
did.
highly recommend that you go back and listen to that episode if you haven't already, if you're a Patreon member.
Right. I think it's just called Lilith or something, I believe.
And if you're not a Patreon member, here is your obligatory invitation to go do that.
To be fair, I think we released that one later, like 6 months later after we released that episode. I think we released it on our regular run, too.
Oh, okay.
So I could be wrong about that. I may not be correct, but I think it is in our regular run, too.
Well, it was a good one.
Yeah.
And you should go listen to it.
Yeah.
But we're going to learn about demons, including Lilith.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm going to read some tidbits from the introduction to Demon Tales. Okay? According to primitive belief, demons or spirits animate all natural phenomena. Jews, too, believe in the reality of demons, devils, fiends, specters, ghosts, and spirits. Demons and migrant spirits inflicted illness upon the body, especially in the internal organs and the mind. Each illness had its own particular demon. Special demons for blindness, deafness, epilepsy, headache, delirium, insanity, etc.
So much like in the natural world where we can't explain storms and we can't, like in the ancient times, right?
Yes.
We can't explain certain things. Gods do those things.
Yeah.
On the internal, on yourself, with the things you can't explain happening to you,
Those are demons. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. External is gods. Internal is demons.
Right.
Fucking with your body.
Yeah.
Yep. Despite that a belief in demons was not integral to the doctrines of Judaism, it nonetheless was widespread among the Jews of post-biblical times. Yet, on account of their rationalistic conditioning and a higher level of literacy in the mass, it manifested itself among them to a lesser degree than among other people. So that makes sense.
Okay.
So they still had their legends, but they recognized them as such more than other cultures did.
Sure. Okay.
during their long Babylonian sojourn, as was
Sojourn,
to be,
huh?
Yeah, their sojourn. That's cute, right?
I like that.
As was to be expected, Jews fell under Chaldean and Persian cultural influences, which
We've discussed that at length, actually.
and that's where we are right now. So this was
very relevant.
Yeah. Their dualistic angel-demon conception was directly borrowed from Zoroastrianism.
Wow.
Right?
That's really cool.
Keeps popping up.
Yeah.
I knew you'd enjoy that.
Huh.
The conflict of opposites became a fundamental part of Kabbalistic doctrine. God was pitted against Satan, good against evil. That's capital G, good, capital E, evil.
Right.
The pure against the impure, the angels against the demons.
Well, just think of how much this type of thinking influences what Christianity is today in the United States.
Yes.
Like, this is kind of what Christianity, evangelical Christianity, embodies in the United States now.
And our laws are being changed to be based upon this childhood nonsense.
Right.
This childish, thousands of year old stories and fables.
That's not even really, like, it's something that's based on a different, we're pulling these ideas from different religions. No one really knows that, but, like, you know, these are not new ideas. These are not, like, new ways of thinking about God. They're old. They're ancient. They're archaic.
Like, I just want to walk up to somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene and be like, you're so full of shit, you Chaldean. You know? Like, honestly, like, you a share pole dancer. Right? The early Christians, being themselves Jews, naturally carried over Jewish demonology into their religion.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah.
We just say it how it is.
Yeah.
Yep. We're just going to put it right out there.
Yeah.
Okay, skipping ahead, blah, blah, blah. In medieval times, the Jewish conception of demons differed in some respects from that held by Christians.
I can imagine.
Not all denizens of the spirit world were regarded as being necessarily evil.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
Some of them were just like other creatures.
Well,
you know what I mean?
the concept of God was a lot different back in those times too. So there wasn't necessarily, for a lot of people, just one God.
Right.
And that idea of a monotheistic God solidified more during the Babylonian exile than it did at any other time in the Jewish history.
Exactly. Some were even considered to be benevolent and helpful to the pious and the deserving in time of need.
Okay.
And we will read a story that kind of has one of those people.
Well, and specifically Lilith is kind of got different aspects to her, right? Like, there's good stories, there's bad stories.
Sure.
There's, there's a lot of people that she represents strength to.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, there's good and bad.
But then, of course, she's also a child-eating, blood-sucking vampire succubus.
Right, but I feel like that's how an evangelical white male would describe women today.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. You back-talking bitch. Get in your place. Yeah, exactly. The medieval Jews believed that demons resembled angels in 3 ways. They had wings, they could fly from one end of the world to the other, and they could foretell future events. The demons also resembled human beings in 3 ways. They had to eat and drink. They procreated like them. They also died like them. So they were like the in-betweens.
Got it. And therefore, this would allow you to call other people demons. And, whatever.
Exactly.
Hence the witch trials and shit like that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. They subsisted on the natural elements: water, fire, wind, and moisture. Which I'm like, what's the difference between water and moisture?
I mean,
like, do you mean fog? Say fog.
Or dew. Like, there's a difference between a body of water and dew.
Right.
So
it's just
right. It's all the same fucking thing, but they weren't.
It's water.
Okay. Again, they didn't have scientific methods to decide why is this and that's that. Right. So it was 2 different things to them.
Right. It's just silly.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The only possible cause of death among them was when they got dry.
Dry, huh?
Yeah. In the hour of mating, they acquired bodies like humans, but lost them immediately thereafter. Okay?
Okay.
So that's demons in general.
Sure.
Let's talk about Lilith.
Okay.
All these characteristics belong to Lilith, later the wife of Samael, angel of death. She is the subject of distinctive portraiture in Jewish myth and legend. She had an interesting origin, and equally as interesting was the persistence with which her fearful image plagued the superstitious folk through the centuries.
Yeah.
In ancient Assyria, there are 3 female demons called Lilith, Lilu, and Ardat Lilith.
Interesting.
The first Jewish reference to Lilith is found in Isaiah chapter 34, verse 14. Yea, the night monster Lilith shall repose there and shall find her a place of rest.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that was the moment when we were like, and we're doing a Patreon episode about Lilith.
Right.
Which I do think you're right. I do think we eventually released that as a public episode.
It was just too important of an, like,
yeah,
it was, you know
what
what I
too
mean?
good.
Yeah.
There was too much good detail in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Midrash, which you know is the post
supplemental text for the Jewish, whatever.
Jewish writings
Jewish
about
writings
the Torah.
That are still, well, maybe not still, but like we're ongoing for years at least.
They're still hashed over and talked about and added to in other versions. And they're just important things that we reference, how different people thought about things at different times.
I like the idea of that, though. Like, I do have to say that, like, the idea that the Jewish faith has a book of their religion that is continually growing.
Yeah.
Is what I want to say.
It's admirable. Because they're back and forthing. What do you think this meant? I don't know. What if it meant that? Yeah, but no, because that's not, if you look on page such and such, I hadn't thought of that. Okay, but what about this? Like, that's really cool.
Right. And with Christianity, there's literally no growth.
No.
There's no growth. In fact,
these conversations happen, but not in one unified voice.
Right.
Which is why there are only 100 billion trillion different sects of Christianity.
Well, and that's the only thing that happens in Christianity is the interpretations change.
Right.
That's the only thing that changes.
Mm-hmm. That's why we have a whole bunch of different types of Christianity.
Right. There's not really a lot of scholarly endeavors to push forward what Christianity is with regard to the actual texts.
Like, you're not supposed to ask, what do you think this meant?
Right.
And that's basically what all those writings are.
Yeah.
That's what they all come down to.
And who's to say we don't have something valuable to add today just as much as they had something valuable to add back then?
Exactly.
So it doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
But we've decided that that's it.
That's it.
We're done.
That's the end. We don't grow anymore.
Nope.
No growing.
Yep.
Which I'm like, yeah, that tracks. Boomers and older, they don't want to grow. They don't want to learn. They don't want to. They're always like, these kids and their damn music. And I'm like, no, actually, as a Gen X, I love Gen X music. I also love today's music. I also love music from the 50s and 60s. I love music from all different ages because I'm not afraid to grow.
Right.
So, I don't know. If you're a boomer listening to this and you complain about music today, you are just not listening to the right music.
Right.
There's good music put out there.
Yeah, I think that most anything that if you want to continue to grow as a human being, you have to be curious and open to new ideas. Mm-hmm. Always.
Yeah.
And I think we've had many talks about this to where we want to, like, we've even told our kid,
yes,
please, smack us if we're stupid and stop growing.
Yeah, like,
we just don't want to.
If we are ever like, you just don't understand what it's like to be old and not know things, blah, blah, we're like, please just go ahead and either, like, if we can't be moved to understand what we're doing, just push us into a ditch.
It's one thing to offer your wisdom, which I will grant. Mm-hmm. People who are older have wisdom.
No, right? They have more experiences, which may lead to wisdom.
Right. They can maybe have more wisdom. Mm-hmm. Okay. But it doesn't mean just because you're older does not make you right just across the board.
Just because you've had more life experiences doesn't mean that you've interpreted them correctly and have something to offer.
Right.
You know?
I mean, I think that shows in the amount of new ideas that have sprung forward as correct with regard to treating humans correctly since we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
We're talking about a 20 to 25 year span of time where, the entire idea of what it means to accept humans has changed.
Right. And our language has changed, how we talk about things, how we, even in our own home, like you might speak differently with your partner, you know, in the secret of your house, you might reveal that you speak one way outside your house to be socially correct, but then come inside your house and you're like, but honestly, I don't feel that way. No, even in our own house, we check each other.
Right.
We still, you know, just how we think has evolved. How we speak has evolved.
Yeah, we take it very seriously as far as how we want to be correct, and we want to not correct. We want to be accepting of people for who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And to us, that is one of the most important aspects of being a human, is that we treat people equitably and without judgment.
Right.
You know?
Being old gives you the excuse that you might not always remember and you might fuck it up. Being old doesn't excuse your rudeness and your unwillingness to even try.
Right. As long as you apologize for the mistakes you made.
Mm-hmm.
And we have people like that in our lives.
We have some boomers in our lives,
but they try.
They get it wrong, like probably 80% of the time, if we're being honest.
But they try.
They try and they feel bad.
Yeah.
And they mean well, and there's a forgivability factor with somebody who shows that they give a shit.
Yeah. It's about making the effort, right?
Yeah. If you are a boomer and you find that you no longer make an effort, go ahead and, you know, will yourself right on over to a ditch, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. I'm just saying there's good music out there and you're missing it.
Right.
So sorry
that's true. That is true.
All right. So in the Midrash and other post-biblical writings, Lilith is also described as a demon of the night.
Okay.
Rashi, the imaginative medieval exegete of worms, said that Lilith bore the human shape of a woman, yet had the wings of an angel. She is usually described in legend as an irresistibly seductive woman with long hair, because, you know, seductive, beautiful women always have long hair.
Yeah.
If they have short hair, they're not attractive. Men like long hair. Like the Greek siren Circe, she seduces unwary men and then savagely kills the children she bears for them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. This personification of Lilith as a demon of vengeance against the children of men finds a most curious explanation in Midrash literature.
Okay.
Here we go, okay?
Yeah.
This is what we got into.
Okay.
When God created Adam, the first man felt very lonely in the newly fashioned world. So God, in his loving kindness, created Lilith from Adama, the same dust from which Adam had been molded.
Okay.
And that's where Adam took his name.
Right. Yeah.
And whose name he bore. But before long, they quarreled. Why'd they quarrel, babe?
Because they were equal.
And what did Adam think about that?
He did not like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently God likes men more.
Yeah.
So.
Imagine why. Why do you think that is?
Because he's a dick.
And because God was created by man.
Well, yeah.
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 For Adam, the proverbial domineering male wished to rule over Lilith. I mean, let's put it right. The story really is that he wanted her to submit and she wanted to ride cowboy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he was like, that's unseemly. And she was like, but I like a good fuck.
Right.
And he was like, we don't fuck, we make love. And she's like, that's what you say. I found my G-spot, babe. The Midrash legend has him laying down the law for her and her sex.
Ugh.
I am your lord and master, and it is your duty to obey me. Now bring me a beer, bitch.
Oh, my God.
But Lilith, a militant feminist.
Haven't heard that in a while.
Right?
Yeah.
Was equally proud and willful. She retorted, we are both equal, for we are both issued from dust, Adama. Therefore, I will not be submissive to you. I'm not going to suck that dick, thank you. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
She then pronounced the ineffable name of God and flew away.
Damn.
The ineffable name, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody who has seen Good Omens knows what ineffable name of God or the ineffable plan of God.
And if you haven't seen Good Omens, you should look it up and go watch it right now. Because it's fantastic.
It is so good. I mean, to be fair, it's got oh shit, what's that actor?
David Tennant?
Yeah, David Tennant in it. How could it not be? You know? Yeah, it's so good.
Yep.
To be fair, it's based on great material. The book of
Neil
the same
Gaiman.
name by Neil Gaiman. Yeah, read it. It's great. You know what? I say that not everybody loved it, but they should.
Sure.
Just so you know.
It's one of our family favorites.
Yep. She then pronounced the ineffable name of God and flew away. No sooner had she left him when Adam felt lonely again. But who's going to suck my dick? Aggrieved by her rebellion and desertion of him, he complained to God, "O Lord of the universe, the woman thou hast given me has fled from me."
Oh, no, not that.
God agreed that Adam had been unjustly treated.
Yeah,
Man, I hate it when a bitch won't submit.
Right?
And then sent 3 angels in pursuit of the fleeing wife.
Oh, Jesus.
When they caught up with her over the Red Sea, they ordered her to return at once to Adam, but she refused. At this, the angels grew very angry. They were very angry. And threatened, "We will drown you in the sea."
Damn.
Unafraid, Lilith answered, "Don't you know I've been created for the purpose of weakening and punishing little children, infants, and babes? I have power over them from the day they are born until they are 8 days old if they are boys, and until the 20th day if they are girls."
That's very specific.
Right?
Yeah. And why was that the case?
Because a boy child would be circumcised, I think. Or no, not circumcised.
I know that the women were
13.
unclean for different amounts of time for having a boy versus a girl.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I don't know.
But that's very specific and weird.
It is very weird.
Yeah.
Angered by her defiance, the 3 angels laid hold of her to drown her. Frightened now, Lilith pacified them with the promise that if she entered the home where a woman was about to give birth, and she saw an amulet on each wall bearing the names or the images of the 3 angels, Senoi, Sansanoi, and Semengoloth, she would spare the infant. So they let her go. Now, here's what I don't understand. They were like, "We're going to kill you." And she's like, "If you don't kill me, I'm going to do bad things." And they were like, "Right, so that's why we're going to kill you."
Right.
And she's like, "Okay, if you don't kill me, I'll do less bad things." And they're like, "Okay, what? Why didn't they, I don't understand. Why didn't they just kill her?
It makes literally no sense.
Right, I don't think you guys understand how to negotiate.
That was a bad calculation, yeah.
Right? Yeah. There's got to be something missing from that story. Why did they actually let her go?
Right. Yeah.
Why didn't they just kill her?
Yeah.
No, bitch. Yeah, we're not going to let you live if you're going to do any bad.
Yeah, no one has who's in a position of no negotiation power is able to do something like that and then just say, "I'm going to do less bad things,"
right,
and get away with it. That's not how that works.
Exactly. So yeah, I've never understood that. I've read that more than once, and literally it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So they let her go, and God was obliged to create Eve to be Adam's mate. Womp womp.
Yeah.
Eve.
Man.
Eve sucks.
I guess you'll do.
I mean, bring me a beer. And ever since then, Lilith has been roaming the world, flying at the head of her 480 hosts of evil spirits, and destroying angels, howling her hatred of mankind through the night, and vowing vengeance because of the shabby treatment she had received at the hands of Adam.
Damn.
For that reason, she has been called in demonic legend the Howling One. Ow!
Okay.
To guard themselves against her vengeance, superstitious Jews of former times would hang in the room of a newborn babe 4 coins, one on each wall, to serve as amulets against Lilith's wicked designs. Fixed to each coin was a label inscribed with the words, "Lilith, be gone." Some philosophical philologists.
Holy crap.
Philologists. It was a hard word, and it's split on 2 lines, and do you know philologist?
I do not.
Okay, well, fuck off then. So some languagey dudes even think that the English word lullaby is nothing but a corruption of Lila Abi, which means Lilith be gone.
Okay.
Interesting. Interesting. Sense. Okay, so now we're going to read about some demons. Ready?
How many stories do we have?
Just a couple. Okay. Just a couple.
Well, okay.
Okay. So, demon tales. The Witches of Ascalon, page 599.
All right.
You ready for this?
Sure.
Okay. When Rabbi Simon, the son of Shita, was appointed a prince in Israel, people came to him and said, in the city of Ascalon, there is a certain cave inhabited by 80 witches. One rainy day, Rabbi Simon gathered together 80 stalwart young men and gave each one a new vessel, a clean robe being folded in each. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't
Here's
either.
a vessel and here's a robe inside your vessel.
Right.
The young men accompanied Rabbi Simon to Ascalon, bearing the vessels on their heads so that their clothes should not be spoiled by the rain.
Vessel.
Yeah, right?
Is that like a basket or something? Like, what the fuck is a vessel?
I don't know. Rabbi Simon said to them, I will enter the cave by myself. If I whistle once, put on your robes. And if I whistle a second time, all of you together rush into the cave, and each of you seize a witch and lift her up from the ground. For such is the nature of witches, that if you raise them from the ground, they can do nothing. I never heard that before.
Nor have I.
And I don't think that is true.
Yeah.
Like, what a random factoid.
Right.
Pick up a witch and suddenly she's powerless?
Yeah, that's really weird.
Yeah.
Just for the record, vessel is literally a container, cup, jar, bowl.
I mean, I know what the word vessel means.
Right.
I just didn't understand what it meant.
I knew what it means too, but it just didn't make a lot of sense in that context. It still doesn't. So, yeah.
It still doesn't.
Right.
So, thank you for that. Nothing.
Right. Yeah.
When Rabbi Simon arrived at the entrance to the cave, he shouted, Witches, witches, open for me. I am one of you. Do you believe him?
No, I don't.
They said to him, How is it your clothes are so dry in this time of rain? I walked between the drops of rain, he answered.
Oh, I see. This was a trick to make them think that they had powers.
And they asked again, What have you come for? And he replied, To learn and to teach. Let each one of you show me what you can do, and I will show you what I can do. One witch uttered an incantation and bread appeared. Another brought meat in a similar way. A third dishes, and a fourth wine. Then the witches said to him, Now what can you do?
Yeah, what can you do?
To which he replied, I can whistle once and cause to appear 80 young men clad in dry robes who will make merry with you and you with them.
Oh,
they about
that's
to fuck them witches.
Horrible.
He whistled once and the boys donned their robes. He whistled a second time and they all rushed into the cave. Simon said to them, Let each one choose his partner.
Simon said, huh?
Simon said.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, he did. And according to their instructions, each of the young men lifted up a witch and then carried them away to be hanged. Thus was Ascalon rid of its 80 witches. The end. Yeah, how about that, huh?
Yeah.
Them some witches.
So I guess Jewish folklore is not exactly free of shitty things towards women / witches.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Last one. Ready?
I'm ready.
We got the miser's transformation on page 612.
Okay.
In a certain city, there once lived a rich man. He possessed lands and gold and had chests full of costly vessels of silver inlaid with precious stones. Rich as he was also miserly. He never gave an alms to a poor man, helped no one in distress, and even kept away from the synagogue out of fear that he might be asked to make a donation. For this reason, he was nicknamed the Miser.
Okay.
Nonetheless, this same tight-fisted man could also be unselfish. He served as voluntary mohel to the newly born boys of the neighborhood and consecrated them to the faith of Jehovah and to the Holy Torah. He fulfilled this obligation with such devotion that he never made any distinction between rich and poor and was never deterred by time, effort, and money to journey for this purpose to the most distant places. So he was mostly a miser.
Okay.
Kind of like Prince Wesley, or not Prince Wesley, but Wesley in The Princess Bride. He wasn't dead. He was just mostly dead.
Right.
One day, as he stood before his house, a stranger approached him and said, My wife has just been delivered of a son. I would therefore like you to consecrate him. The miser replied, This is my duty. Wait a moment, and I'll follow you. Tell me, where do you live? I live far away, said the stranger, but I'll drive fast. I've good horses and a light wagon. The miser went into his house, looked carefully over the securely locked chests that held his treasure. Then he bolted door and gate and followed the stranger.
Okay.
At first, the man drove at a slow, unhurried pace. The miser, who knew the countryside well, could see where they were going. But suddenly the stranger started to whip up his horses that now tore away at a great speed. They sped by fields and woods and mountains and valleys until a mist fell and night began to descend.
Okay.
All this time, the miser had not heard one single bird sing or a bee hum or a brook gurgle. When the moon rose at last, he looked fearfully around him. What was his terror to see that the horses cast no shadow.
Oh.
They sped at a breathtaking speed, neighing and pounding the road with their hooves. The journey seemed to come to no end. When he saw this, he said to the driver with a quavering voice, "Where are you taking me?"
Yeah.
"We'll soon be at our destination," the stranger assured him. And even as he spoke, the dawn began to break. The mist lifted and the sun shone dazzlingly upon a little hamlet. It nestled in a verdant valley. Looking upon it, a peace such as he had never known before descended upon the frightened miser. The stranger drove slowly to his home, where he and the miser were soon surrounded by a group of men who greeted them with a hearty "Shalom Aleichem." The servants led the horses into the stable, while the host escorted his guest into the house. The miser stood mutely, regarding everything with astonishment. The magnificence of every object dazzled him. The furniture was inlaid with gold, silver, and gems. The doors were of carved ivory. Even the locks, bolts, and nails in the house were fashioned of gold and silver. When the host excused himself and went without, the miser began to speculate in his mind which costly object he saw would be given him as a gift. Because,
Right.
greedy.
Yeah.
He wandered from one room into another and at last found himself in the room of the woman who had given birth. What splendor he found here! The woman lay in a bed made of silver, and nearby, in a cradle of beaten gold, slept the newborn babe. As soon as she noticed the miser, the woman motioned him to approach. "I am happy to see you here," she murmured. "You have it in your power to perform a great service for me. Believe me, I'll remain ever grateful to you for this. In repayment, I will reveal to you a great secret. Know that you are not now among mortal men. Those who live here are demons. The one who brought you, my husband, is a demon. You have been snared here by lie and deception.
Okay.
The splendor and magnificence of gold and gems which you see all about you are nothing but dazzle and shimmer, and unreal as mist."
Okay.
Thereupon the miser's courage died in him. "I'm a human being like you," continued the young mother. "I was caught in this evil net in my tender youth. The snare of my husband's gifts blinded my reason, and thus, before I knew it, I became the wife of a demon.
Yeah.
Although I'm already beyond saving, there is still time to save you." "I'm lost," wailed the frightened miser. "Let me warn you betimes," cautioned the woman, "not to taste any food or drink while you're here. Neither must you accept any present from my husband, regardless whether it's costly or trifling in value." The miser left her, trembling in every limb. He thought regretfully of everything he had left behind him, of his lands and his gold. He was certain everything was lost to him now, and he himself was at the mercy of the demons.
I'm going to have to remember this for a time when I want something free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When night fell, he heard a tremendous uproar outside. Horses and wagons bearing demons were arriving in a steady stream. No doubt they came as guests to the circumcision celebration. Once again, the miser was obliged to enter the chamber of the mother and child. Together, the demon guests he intoned prayers and incantations to guard the child against evil spirits and ghosts who delight in harming newborn children. As at the festive board, the demons waxed gay and hilarious, but the miser declined all food and drink. Yay! So he was listening. Good boy.
Yeah.
The bright candlelight illumined the magnificent interior, but in the soul of the miser reigned darkest gloom. He decided to hear nothing and see nothing. He thought only of the terrible things the unfortunate mother had told him. That night he could not fall asleep, but lay awake, alert and watching. When morning came, his host conducted him to a synagogue which was already full of demon worshippers. The miser was courteously invited to act as a precentor. Full of anguish, he sang the service, and as the congregation of demons chanted with him, the dread chill of their voices congealed his blood. After they were through praying, the child was fetched, and the miser performed the rite of circumcision. According to custom, everyone present tasted refreshments, but the miser excused himself on the pretext that this was his special fast day. At this, his host spoke up with cunning. "It is our duty to honor our guest and to postpone our feast until this evening, when we will be able to join us in eating and drinking." The miser's heart sank. He only thought of how he could best save his soul from perdition. The day passed quickly and night fell. Again, the host came and led the miser to the festive board around which sat the other demons. They ate and drank lustily and made merry. Only the miser sat silent and dejected. When he was pressed to eat and drink, he excused himself this time with the plea of illness. As the gaiety of the demons grew in intensity, his own terror increased. Suddenly his host arose and motioned to him to follow him into another room. "This is my last hour on earth," thought the miser in terror as he followed him. As the demon opened the door, the miser's eye fell upon an astonishing array of beautiful and costly vessels. There's the vessels again.
Yeah.
"Since you have done me such a great service," said the demon, "I want you to accept a little token of appreciation from me. Choose what you like from among all that you see here." The miser was filled with consternation. "I have all the silver I want at home," he blurted. "Thank you just the same." Without a word, the demon led him into the next room. Here all the objects were made of gold. "Do you like any of these things?" asked the demon. "Thank you kindly," replied the miser hastily. "I have all the gold I want at home." Without another word, the demon then led him into the next room. The miser stood speechless with excitement at what he saw. Here there was no magnificence, no sparkle of silver or glow of gold. All he saw were bunches of keys, all sizes and shapes, hanging from nails on the wall. "A strange thing," muttered the demon. "When I showed you first my treasures of silver and then of gold, you remained cold and indifferent. But now, when I show you just bunches of keys made of ordinary iron, you show astonishment." The amazement of the miser suddenly gave way before a deadly fear. Right before him, on a nail in the wall, hung a familiar bunch of keys. The demon stretched out his hand and took it off the wall. "These are my keys," cried the miser, quaking. "Truly, these are the keys with which I've locked the chest in which I keep my treasures." "Don't be afraid, even if these are your keys," said the demon in a cold voice. "Don't turn pale, don't tremble so. Since you did me a great service by coming here and have refused to accept any gift of me, I want to show my appreciation in some other way. Know that I am a demon. I am lord and master of all those evil spirits who have power over the riches and treasures in the possession of humans who are as miserly as you, and who, like you, never aid the needy when they cry out. Also know that neither you nor such as you are the actual owners of the wealth. We demons hold the keys to your strong boxes and guard them well, although we can never enjoy them. Here then is your bunch of keys. Take them and become sole master of your riches." The miser quickly snatched at the keys. His host called for a wagon. The miser got into it and was whirled away. The wagon stopped before the miser's door and he alighted. But no sooner did his feet touch the ground when both the horse and the driver vanished. The miser entered his house, but he was not the same man anymore. He opened his treasure chests and strong boxes and took out all their valuables. He distributed alms, clothed the poor, and did good to those in misfortune. A new and beautiful life began for him. From this time on, people stopped calling him the miser. Instead, they honored his noble example, and when he died, they followed him with blessings on their lips to his eternal rest. The end.
All right. Well, is that all we have today for the book club?
That is all we have today for the book club.
The book club. Yeah. All right. So that wraps this episode up for today. I'm going to get the weekly wrap up out here shortly. And then we will be back on Monday with
Ezekiel chapter 11.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
Bye.
Hey wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.